Okay. Okay.
Wait, sorry. What did I miss? What did I miss? Okay, for the first one. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look to see what those maps are like.
Small two.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, and welcome back to COD Challengers. It feels like we haven't seen each other in a while, even though Toronto was just a couple of weeks ago. We're in our fourth and final, quote-unquote, regular season of COD Challengers before we start to look at Boston and whatever the postseason may hold. Of course, as normal, we're starting things off with Europe, and there's no other person I would want to join me than Austin Visions Neal, Mr. Tactical Insight himself. Looking solid. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing fantastic, Alan, right? We just came off the Ultra Major, which was fantastic. We got to see a lot of these guys in person, talk to some of them, and now we'll see how they're able to translate all of what they learned over that major coming back into the elite qualifiers and now, of course, into the actual season, because this is it, right? We're coming down to the last couple of events of the year. If you want to have a good impact, you want to get your name out there, you have to start showcasing it here if you haven't already. So I'm excited to see what these matches bring today.
And I think the biggest thing for all the Europeans is after they dominated Minnesota, they were a little bit absent from what happened in Toronto. So how are we going to pick a favorite? I don't even know if we're even could even come close to being able to do that. Let's take a look at our schedule, though, here for day number 1 of the group stage in Season 4 of the Elite. We were looking to start things off with AYM taking on Team War, hearing that there could be some router issues with those teams and players, so they may be swapping that over to a different matchup. But we will for sure be having Dizzy's Rascals going up against the Invincibles. And, of course, later on this evening, North America kicks off with 3 Kings Gaming going up against whatever it takes. And then D1 Gaming in Big Boys. Lots of storylines there as far as how those two teams had qualified into this season. But keeping our focus with Europe first and foremost here, Austin, you know, coming off of Season 3, I think everyone would have agreed that was either watching or part of the broadcast team that was probably our tightest dispersion from top to bottom in overall squads when it comes to competitive integrity. And this season, based on the qualifiers we had this last weekend, may actually succeed it.
Yeah, it's looking like the case, right, so far with what we've gotten. And I really do think you hit on a big point with the fact that, listen, a lot of these teams played extremely close, you know, up into that point with the Season Elite 3. And I was expecting them to also bring a lot of that flair and that fire that they were showcasing on stream, you know, into the LAN. But it didn't happen here for us. So I feel like for a lot of these squads that have already, you know, stayed the same, that are looking to come out here and try to have a good performance, need to have a strong week 1 to kind of, you know, reinforce that confidence that they had when they were playing in the Rocker Open, when they went to the Pro-Am, like teams like the Toronto Ultra EU. So we'll see if they're going to be able to showcase some of that here again today.
Yeah, just as kind of a fresh reminder, if you forgot what happened back in Season 3, your top 4 squads were Ultra Academy EU, followed up by both the Spanish rosters of AYM and Rocker Academy, with Team War finishing in 4th, but none of those teams were able to crack through the top 8 internationally at Toronto. So, like we mentioned, it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see who comes out after day number 1 and kind of sets the tone. I mean, it's really hard to predict, just simply due to the fact that we had a handful of roster changes that have happened, obviously tons of speculation about more stuff happening with the CDL, but for a team like Ultra Academy EU, they lose Gizmo, they then pick up Wee Man, which, you know, I think is going to be an interesting conversation point when we eventually see those guys on stream. But then also the teams that re-qualified or qualified for the first time here for Season 4 are coming off of either a couple of adjustments or maybe surprisingly not making any adjustments after some relatively, I would say, inconvincing performances at Toronto on the international stage.
Yeah, the Spanish squads, right? Really just trying to stick to that chemistry, go back to what was working for them. And that's the trend that I think we've always seen for a lot of those guys. Even when you go back to some of like the early weeks that we saw from, you know, a lot of those guys like Metals and Co. at the beginning of the Cold War season, right? Didn't make a lot of changes throughout the year after going through that 4-peat, and they want to just kind of stick together, see if they can end up having a big impact near the end of the season. That's really the big question for us. But I think you have teams like Wee Man now that's coming into this Toronto Ultra EU squad. I thought he played fantastic throughout that entire Elite Season 3.
I agree.
And now I feel like he's going to be able to bring a lot more of that consistency over here to this new squad as well. So we'll see exactly what's going to end up happening. But overall, both these teams about to come and clash here for us, Alan. First matchup on the line. Excited to get into it.
Oh, it's going to be good. We are going to swap over and take a look at Katana Gaming versus Ultra Academy EU. The biggest storyline here is, like we had mentioned, Gizmo being picked back up by the London Royal Ravens means that you've got Wee Man, who is going to be taking his place. Obviously, a very stable and solid player with a ton of competitive history behind him. But on the other side, for this Katana Gaming roster, the first time that they've been able to qualify for the Elite, although, excuse me, I think a lot of people will be familiar with Keza with his time with Train Hard during Modern Warfare, and most importantly, Singularity during the Black Ops 4 seasons.
That's really the big one, right? Kez is the only one that kind of jumps off the page when you're looking at this roster. There's going to be a lot to prove for the other 3 members that we have, but you're looking at him to really lead the charge here for this Katana gaming roster. They've been trying for a very long time to get in, and we just have not seen a lot of Keza throughout this year. So this is their chance to really come in and try to have, a strong showing. Probably not the easiest matchup for the very first one of the entire season here in Season 4, but it's, also an opportunity to show us exactly what they bring to the table. And if you can take down a team like Ultra Academy EU, that does have Wee Man coming in, maybe he's still trying to figure out, the overall kind of play style of this team, still trying to mesh things out here with all of these guys on the roster. That could be your chance to potentially come through and overcome them and find a potential big upset for your very first day in Stage 3.
Hey, look, let's just, speak it candidly here. For Ultra Academy EU, they were kind of the byproduct of a handful of upsets when they were playing through the Toronto Open. Most notably, I think a lot of people were surprised on the Map 4 overall series loss to Fellow and Clayster in them. So, they didn't get a chance to play any other EU teams, largely, as we were getting into that Ultra Open, but it's definitely struggled versus the North American squad. So we jump on in and take a look to see if there's been any remedies with the recent roster moves, whether they were preferred or maybe forced in some ways. And Waldo and Shane will be taking us through the action as we jump forward into a Berlin hardpoint to kick us off, Austin.
I'm excited. Berlin Hardpoint. It's been a pretty common one that we've seen quite a bit now. Teams starting to understand how to rotate better, how to set up the breaks a little bit better as well. And, well, jumping into it right away. Going to be a great one to kick off the day. Here we go. And we'll see exactly how it all comes in. The break coming through here for P1. Looking at Ultra to see if they can showcase what they always do in Hardpoint. Dominant openings. But overall, Keza here down low, seeing if he might be able to make some early plays with a flank.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, will remember how good Ultra EU were on their break attempts in particular throughout Season 3, and even some showcased at the Open itself. Opening look is actually pretty darn solid, but it's responded to beautifully by the ARs of Katana Gaming, and that's going to be FD and the rest of the squad just kind of locking down the front doors and getting a pretty solid read on where Ultra Academy wanted to hit from, and that actually leads to an opportunity to not just get the better part of the opening 30 seconds, they've actually forced Ultra Academy EU to spawn over towards the left side of the map, really making things difficult on their next break attempt.
35 seconds so far here for Katana Gaming. 10 seconds left. Beans wants to put some pressure on the point here to try to delay this rotation overall, but it looks like he's only going to be able to come up with one. And this is a great opening hill, right? Exactly what you want. But now you have to make your way across the map. This is really where the pressure is now on Ultra Academy EU to try to set up, try to put themselves in a spot where they can get some time back. Wee Man in the middle of the map, not going to be able to find it, but Steve-O in the hill, good for at least one, and they'll be able to stop somewhat of the break and cover the back here.
Oh, really good shutdown to the potential streaks coming up for Katana early. And that leads to some pretty significant setups in and around mailroom. One more player to find, and shots are coming through. This should be a chase down opportunity, but Ross actually forces his way in. That will actually neutralize the hard point for a time while the rest of Katana are looking to actually retake over through the middle of the map and where P5 would eventually be. And, well, this is actually going to force Ultra EU to have to put together some sort of a response. Furious looks good for it as he gets the opener. Good help from Beans, and that will actually keep things completely in control for Ultra. And that looks to be not just the better part of 30 seconds. They're going to find about 40 here total on P2.
And look how far forward they already are. And that's a big kill for Wee Man. He's not going to be able to piece together the second, but you have two more Ultra members in position. And how about that from Steve-O? Finds two inside of fire. Incredible plays coming in here for him. Does end up getting taken out, but was a really good chance to try to surge forward, try to influence those spawns, and now it's really coming through on the dock side to see if you can try to defend the spawns in the back, but Beans already pressing forward as he finds two off screen.
Yeah, just good flexibility being showcased here from Ultra EU, and that's one of the things that I think we have to kind of keep an eye on, especially with Wee Man and Beans, who are kind of storied as main ARs in their competitive history. How do you make it work if you're going to be running kind of a 3-1 setup at times for these kind of close quarter hard points? And Beans is able to showcase the flexibility, picking up the MP40 and making some work happen with it. Furious on the long angle, trying to stop any reinforcements from getting in on a Katana over through lobby side, but from the front, the hold is actually pretty darn solid for Katana. Joka himself, good for 4 in a row, as everyone just keeps kind of solo hitting for Ultra EU, and that's just not going to be good enough. Joka wants number 5, eventually turned aside and a chance for Ultra to come back in and contest, but it's only for the scrap time.
Yeah, it's only for the scrap time. Keza wins one more. That's going to put him on a couple in a row. And now you already have a rotation, in effect through the back here. Ultra's going to have to do a good job of sniffing out all of the players, trying to make their way in behind P2. But it will be the initial setup. Ultra down by about 20. Need to get some time. You can turn this into a money hill if you can control the back. But here we go. The surge forward. Katana Gaming looking for the break.
Once again, Fuzzy from the top side, around the back through warehouses. Decent opportunity to try to open things up, but Steve-O reads it beautifully, and that'll be good for a full lockdown hold. And honestly speaking, you take a look just kind of how things have unfolded so far. Yeah, we've got a tie game, but for Ultra EU, it feels like a lot of these holds have been from inside the hills, not necessarily zoning. And the reason that I bring that up is that you're not going to get the intel that you need when it comes to how Katana are breaking, and wouldn't you know it, they turned that into a really solid break with about 25 seconds to play with. Fuzzy still kind of working towards the lobby side to try to influence and maybe just hold back the Ultra Academy re-break attempt for scrap. Good kills on the back way forward, and that will lead to an opportunity to get some of this last 10 seconds. But honestly speaking, for Katana, that was a solid hold through 4.
Yeah, solid hold, but you do have the early setup again here. Ultra's been great on the rotation so far, just trying to now take control of the lead. And Beans, how about it? 14 kills here for him, trying to play inside of the point here to see if they can actually accumulate some of this time around P5. So far, so good, but Keza going to be able to break it open. Right behind him now, the rest of his teammates, but controlling P2 is Wee Man. He's got the prime position. He can keep them off the point. They're going to have to deal with him if they want to try to break inside this point.
30 seconds still to fight for. Katana, of course, would love to break it up, as you mentioned, but at the same point, you also don't want to lose the left side mini-map. Oh, and okay, there it is. Clean over the top of the middle of the map. I was about to say, like, you want to put yourself with P1 towards your backs, and with a clean, essentially, team wipe coming out for Katana Gaming, they'll be able to not just possibly retake the lead, they'll be looking at a pretty significant advantage as we rotate over to our second set of hills. The kill's still coming through, and honestly, it just feels like for Ultra Academy EU, it's just a little too statuesque, just kind of waiting to see if Katana are going to challenge, and that's going to lead to a really easy rotation here as we go from 5 back to 1 for Katana. A little bit of a lead starting to grow, but an opportunity for them here to really put together a setup and really run away with this game at the moment.
Yeah, last time around, right? 45 seconds off P1 to open this one up. This time, though, a little bit more patient. Beans from the outside, able to switch over to that automaton, finds that first pickup, and they are able to at least deal with the player in the back. But now with Steve-O able to get through, surging forward, seeing if he can make some noise inside of fire. He's going to lose 2 members here, so this could actually be a chance for Katana to get around the back. They'll deal with Beans here from the front. Wee Man now has to go big, and he can't get that second. So a nice timing to get through fire there to find that break, and Katana Gaming back in the point. But Steve-O, he's here as well. He's on 4, looking for 5. Not going to be able to find it. Ross J takes him out.
Really solid stuff from Steve-O just to keep this hardpoint contested a little while longer, but it just feels like every single time that Ultra Academy EU have something good going for them, the response out of Katana Gaming is so convincing. Joke have been a big part of that, 15 and 13 for him. And as Wee Man takes the final 1v1 versus Keza, sure, there's a little bit of scrap time here, but Katana have kept Ultra Academy EU at arm's reach as they start to rotate back over to the second hard point inside a mailroom. The kills are good, the numbers are better, and look at Katana already starting to put a bit of a buffer in front of this hard point.
This is really scary right now. Look how far back Ultra Academy EU is spawning, all the way behind P3, and you still have kills coming through before you can even touch the hill. But Ross J realizes, okay, I'm losing my teammates. I'm going to have to try to push out, fan out, and Steve-O's going to be able to read that. So now finally, Ultra Academy get here with about 30 seconds left. Need to try to fight for some of this time. Joke left from up top, able to find one more. The control is just too much at the moment, Alan. Katana Gaming running away with it. You need Steve-O to make a big play, and he can't find anything.
Even right here, it just feels like in that last break attempt, the structure and the setup as far as how Ultra Academy EU wanted to get in was a little bit disjointed. I mean, that's to be somewhat expected when you're dealing with a brand new player kind of in the mix in the last, well, a week at most, but it really feels a bit uncharacteristic for this Ultra EU team who is so convincing over the course of the last couple of different seasons. Even on this setup for the hold, they can't even find a single kill all of a sudden, Austin. Spawns will flip. Ultra Academy EU coming from the front, and Keza's already ready for it with 3 in a row already into his name.
I mean, look at the positioning here. You have Jokla who's also just kind of playing through middle. He finds 2 more. So, again, Ultra can never really get to this point, with a full-on team hit. Teams with a nice win there will be able to loosen up the defense a tad bit. But finally, Ultra able to break through the front. Wee Man now needs to battle the spawns at the back. Wee Man for 2. The new pickup looking for 3. Oh, to the fist. Bumps one out. And that's going to be 3 for Wee Man, but is it enough? Furious has to try to collect a couple more as well. And this is too much, Alan. Like you were saying, 15 seconds, you can let that go. You have over 200 points, and you're already contesting the new rotation here at P4.
Oh, I will say, at least for Ultra EU, there are numbers here to try to control train station and force Katana to have to worry about the front. The problem about it is none of the gunfights from the front were largely won, and now Katana Gaming with numbers can finesse for some pinch plays, little mini flanks here and there, try to keep the pressure onto Ultra EU as they look to rotate. Oh, it is. Oh, geez, if Joka wins that gunfight, I was about to say this game may just be over right here, but Ultra EU does have a chance to break through the middle of the map. Now take their focus towards the objective themselves. They'll flip the spawns in the same process of doing this, but you have to be able to hold here. 155 to 227. And at the moment, it's just so many advantages to Katana Gaming. More clean kills coming through, and they're able to still read that Ultra are spawning in the back.
This is looking almost too good right now. I mean, winning gun battles like this. And that's 3 in a row, 27 kills now. Chocolat's seeing if he can try to stack that number up just a little bit more, but Wee Man is there for the response. Again, scrap time. It's going over, and it's not necessarily going to go over for free. You can still see the nades coming in, still see everyone from the front here from Katana Gaming trying just to put on that little bit more pressure, see if they can stop it. But a couple kills from Wee Man, 5 in a row, and to be fair, Wee Man has been playing well, right? He's got 45 seconds here in the point, 26 kills, but you know, you're missing out on Furious being a huge factor here in the lineup, and now it's Ultra Academy. They can still bring it back, but Alan, they got to hold P5.
Yeah, this is, you kind of need Wee Man to get this glide bomb. Okay, that will help out just a touch. You've got an opportunity to use this maybe to open up some space on a rotation eventually to P1. You cannot lose track of this objective because mathematically speaking, Katana Gaming could still put this game pretty out of reach with good time here in the back 25 seconds or so. Wee Man, good response to make sure that nobody from Katana could get in. And, well, maybe there's an opportunity to try to delay, but the problem about this is the time is starting to come through now all of a sudden for Katana. They've got great numbers over the middle of the map. They've got Ross try to zone things out around the staircases, and as he gets a read from behind, maybe a chance to trade Stevo, but the double is decent. Problem about it is Katana are only 6 seconds away from winning the game.
Yeah, they are. Have to play perfect here, as we say, and you have to win this rotation. Stevo has to go massive, and Ross reads it on the staircase. Looking like it could be all done and dusted. 2 come through for Ross J. Wee Man needs to make a desperate attempt to get inside, but it's not going to happen. Katana Gaming, how about it? Come out here in the map number 1 and just crush Ultra through a lot of those rotations and holds there, Alan.
You know, the thing about it is, it's a simple fact that one of the things we always look forward to at a Berlin Hardpoint is how difficult can you make life on your opponents when it comes to, okay, the 3 of my teammates are hitting for old time on scrap. I can go play for rotation and make sure we're challenging, or vice versa of, oh, we already have somebody who's trying to sit there to finesse old time. Let's send all of our numbers over to new. And there was never really a good moment where we looked at Ultra Academy EU and said that they were doing that. It all felt very, I don't want to use the word like one-dimensional, it brings off too much of a negative connotation, but it did feel like there was only one play happening at a time for Ultra EU, and that led to numbers and opportunities that Katana Gaming were really decisive with. And that's the big key, and I think one of the more reasons why we're kind of stunned, if not impressed, by what Katana was able to put together here, because this is a team that, I won't say that they were lucky to qualify, they looked good in the matches that they played, but this is definitely a team that we've not seen a large majority of these individual players over the course of the last couple of years of Challengers Elite actually be represented in the top 8 overall for Europe. This really was a good showing of why they got here and why they are a major threat into this full season.
Absolutely, and I also think their ability to read a lot of those pinch plays that come in for Ultra, and something we praise them for on their breaks, especially coming off of that last season, comes through from players like Stevo to get around the back, try to find 2-3 kills. We saw it right there at the end, right there. They're reading it, making sure that their flanks are covered, that they're not getting attacked from multiple angles at the same time. They deal with the solo player that's trying to make an individual play. From there, they can kind of focus out the team shots coming through the front, coming through the side door there near the end at P1. So just very well done throughout that entire first map here. And I mean, this is what we said, right? If you can come through and try to get something going early versus an Ultra Academy EU squad that just picked up Wee Man, that is still trying to mesh things out, figure out the game plan, how to approach each and every map, you can take them by surprise, come out here and grab a hard point. So that's just an incredible way to start off this series.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, too, is not only did we see convincing kill potential coming out of Katana, but there's also just good split focus on the objective overall. I mean, everyone's got over 60 seconds with a hill time, which I think is really important. And take a look at this dispersion of objective kills that come through across all 4 members. That's just great news. I mean, statistically speaking, there is a little bit of vulnerability. I mean, you look at Ross 16 and 27, not the sexiest stat line in the world, but when you're able to put together nearly a minute 40 worth of hardpoint time in a tight game like we just saw, largely speaking, that is so beneficial to helping your teammates saying, okay, I don't have to worry about rotation. I can get my ARs up and watch this crossing angles. It really was a well-clinic kind of put on by Katana on rotation in particular. So a good opening start for them. I think a lot of people will be kind of surprised, just kind of the natural prestige that comes with the name of Ultra Academy, either EU or NA. But here in this one, I guess goes to show that, we talked about at the top of the show, it's going to be hard to pick a favorite this stage. And I think even more importantly, the competitive differentials between the top and the bottom, whatever it happens to look like by the end of the season, it's going to be really tight again in this Season 4.
I have to imagine so, right? It's the end of the year. People are starting to figure out how each team likes to play. What are their good maps? What are their bad maps? You can start to play into the videos a little bit better, I feel like, once you get into the later portions. So, I mean, I have to imagine that you're absolutely right with how everything is kind of stacked up with EU. I mean, this is a great example as well for the fact that, listen, this is the team that we have not seen, through a lot of the season so far, and they've been able to come through and have a convincing map number 1 versus a very highly rated team, the Season 3 champions. So, I think this is a great kickoff here for them. But now we look at a Bocage Search and Destroy, which is coming up next, and that's not necessarily where I want to go if I'm a Toronto Ultra team that just lost 250 to 191, right? Bocage it can be very, very up in the air with how things can kind of sway for you. I mean, very fast rounds at times, right? And you can end up losing a couple of them very quickly here. So we'll have to try to pump the brakes a little bit, but we do know this Ultra squad, they can be just as good in Search and Destroy as they have been in their respawns here. So we'll see how Wee Man kind of fits into the strategies off the rip.
And for what it's worth, just looking back to Season 3, as you were mentioning, for this Toronto Ultra EU squad, they were really good at Search and Destroy. However, they didn't play Bocage a single time throughout Season 4. So you have to imagine that with the new identity of the roster, there's going to be a new preference as far as what maps we want to play. But it is a bit surprising to see that, no, there will not be a Berlin Search and Destroy, which is what this Ultra EU team was so good at. And just kind of looking back at the statistics, you have to have imagined that the first opening Berlin Hardpoint was Ultra EU's pick, considering that they were 5-0 in the map last season. So it's definitely a difficult, I think, overall look here for Ultra just in the early stages, possibly losing your opening Hardpoint and then having to go to a very uncomfortable map 2 Search and Destroy just based on the statistics that we learned from Season 3. The biggest thing is, now that you've got, Weeman in the mix, is this going to turn into you have to play a slower play style here for Ultra EU? Because as much as I think Gizmo is kind of attributed to what he brings with an AR in hand, he's still a very flexible player. Now all of a sudden you've got players like Weeman and Furious and Beans. Like, all three of those players have seen significant AR gameplay over the course of at least this year, if not dating back to the last in Cold War. And you kind of have to wonder who's going to help Steve-O out with an aggressive SMG setup.
It's got to be Beans, right? Like, watching over him kind of play this more flex role, it feels like he is just incredible with either weapon that he has in his hands. I mean, I've been seeing just everything pop up on the TO with Beans. It feels like there's a new clip every day with what he's doing in scrims or whatever it is, but he has been able to kind of showcase what he can do with the sub. But it's more interesting in Search and Destroy, right? Because you kind of need, 2 subs on the map at times to try to get inside of grannies, or especially when you're on the offense and you're trying to make plays around that A hit. So, is Beans going to be more willing to do it in Search? Will they be playing more reserve, trying to see if they can just get those aggressive challenges, find those peaks with the ARs? I think you bring up a really good point here, Alan, because you do have to start to alter maybe just a tad bit of your gameplay, because Wee Man has just been, an AR for his entire life. He loves playing that AR. He likes to play slow at times. He can get aggressive, but overall, he likes to try to set up with that pre-aim, watch over a lane. That's his comfort zone. So I'm looking at Beans, I think, to really be that player to try to see if they might be able to get a little more mixy and try to run that sub at times when they need it.
Are we thinking that this is still a possible must-win situation here early for Ultra EU? I mean, it's day one of Season 4. It's hard to really kind of label that, but I don't know, Austin. It just feels like after what we just came off of with the Berlin Hardpoint, there are going to be a lot of questions about how this map will kind of form towards the playstyles. And if Katana is able to get some pretty solid early aggression, you kind of wonder how malleable will the potential setups look again for Ultra EU after some unconvincing situations throughout the opening Hardpoint we saw. Again, full of speculation, but I think just for you guys at home that are watching as an audience, those are the things that we need to keep our eye on. So we get our cinematic breeze through of the French countryside, and now it's time to really kind of answer the questions that we've built up. Can Toronto Ultra EU show us something for the first time on this Search and Destroy that they played 0 of during Season 3? And will be their defensive setup first and foremost. Furious up top, Automaton looking to check over to the window. Team shots not quite there, as Fudsy's able to at least push one player back and then try to blow up the windows with these nades. And that's actually going to work out maybe to his affair, as the stun also locks in, but Furious forces the gunfight and it works out for first blood.
Yeah, very aggressive here on the defense. Furious wants to make sure it's known that I have this cross, and Kez is also kind of just bouncing around here, seeing if he might be able to work an angle for that trade. But for now, everything's going to come to a bit of a halt. You have a lot of map control. Furious, though, gets heavily tagged up. Kez is just going to have to get out of there. And Steve-O, how about this? Going to run right through, takes him out. That's the bomb down. Steve-O looking for the second, but not ready for it. And now we have a 3v2.
Yeah, that's just a really good read as far as the opportunity for Steve-O saying, all right, we've gotten a lot of tags into players. We know they backed up. There's really only one place they could be in. The chances of a 3v4, someone watching mid-map, is probably pretty low. So I love that little gut check call from Steve. And that'll lead to an opportunity to really dominate in the numbers after the first blood comes out. And a chance to really kind of set up what looks to be a very controlled and concise defense, at least off of the initial default.
Exactly. You got to give a lot of credit there to Furious for really making a lot of that round happen. First round is good. And now this is where we were kind of curious, right? What are the offenses going to start to look like here for Ultra Academy EU? They're going to try to see if they can, make some aggressive plays happen. Is Beans going to be pulling out a sub here with Steve-O? Or are they just going to use their patient play, rely on some FMJ, and see if they can maybe come away with some picks? But Beans over the top, going to get some information, try to throw a stun out on that B rush. While Steve-O is going to probably be jumping here for a little bit, seeing if anyone's going to be playing by the car. But it is very slow, very patient. Steve-O is going to be the only one pushed forward, waiting for information from his ARs here through A long.
And long-range shots out of Keza will definitely make life a little bit difficult over towards A. Steve-O actually gets tagged up by a nade. Yeah, for real. How do you even land that in that corner? I mean, he's tucked in there. But that all said, the team nades on the opposite side do result in a trade. So we go 3v3. Steve-O has gotten over towards the A side of Granny's house. But the thing about this is Ross and Foodsy are watching a crossing angle. There's the information. Thanks for popping that door open, says Ross. And numbers tilt back towards the defense.
Yeah, and you can start to see Toronto moving a little bit more antsy on the map now because they have to retrieve this bomb, and it's not in a great spot. And Furious has an AR. Beans might as well. Long-range shots through the back is good. Fudzy gets there for the trade. Beans the last one up, and the control there. Beautiful. And Steve-O was the only one that was trying to make a play. There's no one there with him when he's getting inside of Granny. So as soon as he dies, Alan, that bomb goes down, and all of a sudden it's panic mode there for Ultra.
And that's, just for what it's worth offensively for Ultra EU, that setup right there is all about, let's see if we can get Steve-O forward, force someone to try to make a play to counter it, and we've got 3 ARs watching all the lanes. The problem about it was hardly any of the ARs were able to win their long-range gunfights. So it's kind of like this little, hey, look at us, like sleight of hand, we're hitting aggressively. Maybe you're going to come try to find this early kill and isolate, but we've got ARs watching. The problem about it was the ARs didn't really isolate. So now we go back over towards Katana's focus. Offensively, similar setup that they had in round 1. Different defensively here for Ultras. They're getting a little bit aggressive, and Furious is in trouble. Somehow gets away initially, but it's a follow-up nade for Fudzy that does finish off and get the first blood.
I've been very impressed so far with Katana with their nade usage. They get information on one, and it's all about, let's nade that player out, let's find the pick, and they do. But Wee Men does work through the trench side on the river, and we'll be able to make sure it's a 3 versus 3. But a lot of control around this A site might be an opportunity to drop this bomb, but they have to deal with Beans in the back. He has a chance to stop it. However, Keza might be free to get it down, and he is. So bomb is planted and retake now for Ultra Academy.
Yeah, and I like this post-plant setup here for Katana in the 3v3. Fudzy's in a little bit of a difficult spot, but you've got a long-range shots. Possibly got a Joker, but those are beautiful shots that connect out of Steve-O. And so all of a sudden, what looked to be a really solid post-plant setup has already been foiled, and it comes down to Keza for the 1v3. Gets the opener, no problem. Whoa! How does he take down the second? Down to 20 HP, resets, gets the reload. Can he get the full regen off? No! We've able to find him, no problem, and that'll turn to an easy defuse. Ultra Academy keep this an all-defensive affair.
Oh, oh man, that was a little scary for a second. Keza almost made the play. Little bait out the front after the first kill there with the slide cancel, and then comes through the second time and just finds that hip fire up close onto Beans. But Wee Man, the new pickup, will be able to track him down, make sure he is isolated behind that water wheel. We'll find the easy trade. But my goodness, a little bit scary for a second. Ultra Academy EU will be able to bounce back. So far, defensive affair across the board. We'll see if Ultra can try to sway that here, and whether or not they're going to pick up the aggression or go back to what they defaulted through the first round.
Opening pre-fire coming out. It's once again Keza who's able to find Steve-O from what looked to be a pretty good distance as well. So now with numbers, Katana, an opportunity to kind of swarm through the middle of the map with that first blood. On the opposite side for Ultra EU, you kind of have to very disciplinedly try to make a play to isolate. Not going to happen. Goodness. Wow. It's just no AR gunfights are going the way of Ultra EU on these offensive looks. Beans trying to find something. Pistol in hand will open the door for a chance to reset, but this would be a very difficult 1v4 with no bomb in hand to play with.
He's going to be making some noise, too, coming through the back. And he's right on top of a player. He's literally, like he's on the barrels. He's going to come around. And Fuzzy is going to see him there. that was a really interesting one. I was like, he's going to get him eventually, right, Alan? Surely it's going to happen.
That was straight comedy. Oh, man. Okay, all defense so far. Although I will say, as far as like the dynamic of both of these two defenses, it really has been opening early gunfights at range for Katana, whereas for Ultra EU, they've been kind of forcing engagements into tight spaces, kind of hoping that trades will not come through, just kind of being able to get a kill, get out. So will that still be the mentality here in round number 5? And well, look at this from Ultra EU. 4-man hit over towards B. 2 will push all the way through into stables. A third will come with. The thing about this is Weeman has to keep his life. This whole play is going to take time to develop. And it's so good for Weeman to get one. Now the kills could come through. Weeman stays alive for a second. Backside defensive tank. That is a great heads-up play out of Weeman to know that you have to value your life. Even beyond that, he'll take 3 out of the 4. Unbelievable play from Weeman.
Yeah, it's a great play call altogether, but Weeman is really the one that makes sure it comes home. And I think it's Ultra realizing, hey, listen, these guys are just challenging us upper window every single time, pushing through the site aggressively. We're not winning those initial gunfights, and we're not nading them off the staircase around A. So let's just push through where they're not watching. And they just find that angle to 3-man hit through Riverside, win out through the back. And, I mean, it's a big surprise for Katana game. I was like, there's 3 behind us. But by that point, it's too late. Weeman finds 2. Beautiful stuff here for Ultra Academy EU.
So another different look out of Ultra EU. But the big problem for both teams is how do we win an offense? Long-range gunfights again. Fuzzy really wants to try to put some pressure down over towards field side. Stun will connect. That confirms the information needed. Double team shots coming out, but Fuzzy's able to stay alive and reset. And there's still the thing about this is there's still good help defensively with Katana still watching this kind of crossfire setup just in front of Grandma's.
Weeman picks up 4. Roche gets in there, but trades go the way of Ultra. And finally, looking like it could be another round on the board here for them. First offensive win could be in the cards. It's all up to Fuzzy. They know he was over by A little bit beforehand. Weeman loses the battle, but surely Fuzzy does not get out of this one. The push comes through the side. Beans tracks him down, and that's going to be some big gunfight wins and a big round here for Ultra Academy EU to finally get an offensive win.
It's just, I think the biggest thing, too, on top of this is the fact that you don't allow yourself to get picked in the first 30 seconds of the round. I think that's kind of been a really big key here when it comes to Katana's defenses. They really haven't had to make any adjustments because they're in a 4v3 30 seconds into the round. So now all of a sudden, when you get that opening elimination, or at least push back Fuzzy and stop First Bloods from coming through, it kind of puts a little bit more pressure on Katana with those SMGs up front. Ross in particular was kind of caught trying to play on the forward side of the A bomb site. Team shots coming out this time as Weeman is going to recognize that there's a ton of early pressure from Katana up and in towards B. Nades will connect. The second gunfight, though, will be won as we go to a 3v3.
Wow, they changed up that strategy quite a bit, and they're going to make sure that no one from Ultra is coming through the Riverside this time around, as they'll have full control. And how about Rosh J in the back? Able to put together 2 in the round, and now it all comes down to Furious, who wants to find that trade, but he comes a little too late. And it's going to be a full-on rotation over to that A site. It is wide open. Furious might have gotten eyes on one. Fuzzy, I'm not sure if he saw him, but he might be able to find the timing here to stop this bomb going down if they decide to go for it.
Oh, what a read out of Fuzzy. Coming off the rooftops, just catches a glimpse. And that's enough to turn and absolutely smother the attempt of the 1v3. Yeah, that's really clean shots as well from Fuzzy. And hey, okay, so now all of a sudden, we've got a little bit of adjustment out of Katana, a little bit of a show of force towards B. You force a rotation early out of Ultra Academy EU. You push back, you capitalize on the kills that are crossing. And for the first time, both of our 2 teams have showcased the ability to kind of finesse the defensive setups that both teams have preferred so far.
So Fuzzy's been playing very aggressive through this A side. Usually it's on the side itself this time. Wants to try to get a nade off here right on the cross, but nobody from Ultra's pushed up. Remember, Steve-O, who's always the one kind of making this first play for Ultra once they get information or once they're able to trade out a kill or 2. For now, just going to be stopping Steve-O with that bomb, looking for him to make that play. But now you have the positioning across the map for Ultra, just waiting for a peek. But it's the defensive setup right now, Alan, from Katana. They're not giving any peeks right now. They know what's on the line.
And as much as you can credit Ultra EU for not giving away any kills nor information on this opening setup, oh, Steve, what have you done?
Oh, my.
Not exactly the nade you're looking for. He still gets the regen off. He'll be okay. But where I was going with this is the fact of now that you've gotten Steve-O forward, how do you break into either of these sites when you're still running 3 ARs? That's the real question here. And the clock is ticking. 35 seconds. The move has to come through, and it looks like it's going to be a triple hit over through the backside of Granny's. That's going to work out for a kill onto Ross.
All right, so they bring the automatons inside, and then Steve-O follows right after. You still have to make a move for the bomb, and now you've lost Furious. So 3 versus 3. B might be the target here, and they're going to try to clear at the back, but holding on to it is going to be beautiful here. 2 kills coming through. Jokelet seeing if he might be able to put together 3. Steve-O's just got to try to get out of dodge after getting that bomb down. 2v3. Beans makes it a 2v2, and Steve-O gets out.
I'll think about this. Oh, Steve-O's going to get caught topside tower. Clean shots out of Joker 3 in a row. Is immediately going to rush right towards the bomb, and Beans is not expecting the defuse is going to come out. He's trying to work all the way back around through tunnel. He's not going to think that Joker's holding for it, but he has. And all of a sudden, Katana with 2 rounds in a row have tied us back at 4.
I love that play call, right? There's so many times where you're searching for the player. You know where he just was. You have to assume he might be challenging coming to check. And that's just a great read. Jokelet takes out 3 in that round, and he's not interested in taking out the 4th. He wants to play for the round win. He hops on the bomb. He sticks to the fuse, and Beans, unfortunately, does not read the play correctly. And, well, there we have it. Katana Gaming, back-to-back, tie us up here at 4.
Yeah, that's really awesome stuff. And I think for the biggest thing about this for Katana is they're getting really solid reads on what Ultra Academy EU want to do on both sides of the bomb. Defensively, you know for a fact they're going to kind of stretch the map and maybe try to force a couple of opening gunfights by the way of ARs. And offensively, hey, if they're not going to run a second sub, force Steve will have to be put in a weird position.
Sure.
This round, though, it's Ross who actually is the first one to fall. So it's on to Katana. The onus falls to them when it comes down to how do you want to work a 3v4 with one of your main subs already gone.
Keza still knows Furious is up top. Nade's going to come through, but will not connect. And now with about 50 seconds on the clock, you need Keza maybe to open up with this play on Steve-O, who's just sitting in this corner patiently, seeing if he can stop this bomb from going down on A. But Keza with the bomb, he might be looking to make a play here, but it is very risky.
You have to force something, though, and the timing's going to work out beautifully. Beans gets isolated. But the thing about this is Steve-O defensively is still in a really good spot to possibly find a kill over towards the A site, and yeah, just holds behind a doorway. It's a risky position, but it works out nicely. Furious over the top, not able to quite track down Fuzzy, so now 13 seconds left. Bomb is still down over towards A. It would really have to be a 1v2 with kills in mind here for Fuzzy, and as he tries to actually force the play towards the bomb, he gets caught on the cross, and it's Ultra EU who get to 5 first.
Man, really good opportunity to try to win out on that round after Ross getting first blooded there. I mean, I do love the play from Keza. He knows he's the one that needs to make that play down low. He has the bomb, but you're in that situation where you got 30 seconds left. You have to open up a little bit more of this site before you can try to get a plan off. But Ultra, the main part there was holding onto the top of Granny's and using that power position to really get in there to A if they have to. Play their life. I think it was Furious for the longest time. And then it ended up being a second player coming back up top as well. So good stuff. But now Ultra, they have a chance to put it away. 3 in a row for Steve-O. We'll see what he can do here going into potentially the final round.
This is the same default offensive setup for Ultra EU. Don't give away any nade information. Get Steve-O forward in towards Barn. Let him make sure as he just kind of jump peeks to see if anyone's going to play through double doors. And then you make your call depending on what information you find off of nades, which at the moment, it doesn't look like they've really found too much. Katana's still moving around, but largely they look comfortable in their defensive setup, and I love this from Katana. If we're not going to get opening nade picks, let's just play point of contact defense and force Ultra to once again have to make a risky call of like 3 hitting into Grannies with 2 ARs. So we'll see how this unfolds, and as Steve-O starts to clear out A, looks like that will be the intended target, at least initially with 40 seconds to play.
Oh, Steve-O eats a nade. Looks like they're starting to shift over to B potentially, but there are 2 players here. However, both end up dropping. No trades come in, and now this could be a done deal for Ultra Academy EU. Bomb is going down. It's all up to 2. And, well, Fuzzy's unable to win that battle. 2v4, and they have to play retake. Yeah,
and this is just a 2-2 split here for the offensive post plan for Ultra, where you've got 2 players deep, 2 players close, and no chance to break. Wow. I think that's a cataclysmic mistake out of Katana. You were so patient, and you should have been really comfortable about what their defensive setup was, considering what Ultra had been doing to them in the last 3 offenses in a row, where it was 3 ARs watching individual lanes, Steve-O moving forward. Wait to see if we can get blessed with the kill on any of those individual lanes, and that did happen. Not once, but really twice there, as you got first blood over towards trench side. And for Katana, I think you just have to trust that your setup is as good as it actually was, because there really shouldn't have been any reason to doubt what you had put together, especially as you start to get those nades in the middle of the round to start tagging onto Steve-O. You have to kind of force the clock to be your 5th player in certain ways, and maybe a small mistake there for Katana as they're not quite able to get it to around 11.
How about it here? Wee Man again, back-to-back strong performances here on the new roster. 8 untraded kills. I mean, he was a huge part of why this Ultra team were able to actually come out with this map. He played the rock in the back when you saw some of those aggressive defensive hits come through there for Ultra, and then he's always just kind of playing his life in a lot of those rounds, only dying 5 times here, putting in 1,100 damage, so good stuff coming through for him overall. And then you have Steve-O doing a lot of that dirty work, kind of just using that bomb, inching up on the site, but overall, really close coming back-to-back here in both of these maps here, Alan. This is going to be a fantastic series as it seems here so far.
Yeah, absolutely the case. I mean, it's you have to feel like it's going to be paper-thin margins as we continue to go through it. So with that in mind, we go to a 1-1 map count overall, and I'm just kind of curious to see what we have now kind of in store as we start to consider a Gavudu control here, Austin, because all the things we've been talking about with Ultra EU is that this is looking like it's going to be a pretty AR-stacked lineup as far as the preference and kind of the history has spoken to. Any expectations as we consider map 3?
Yeah, coming into the map 3, I mean, I would still imagine that Ultra EU are probably going to be, you know, really good on these Gavutus, these bigger maps. I mean, I almost expected it almost on the Berlin as well, but I think coming into a Gavutu, you can't let this team get set up, right?
Sure,
when you have players like Wee Man, Beans, when you start to see them go on those sprees and they get a little hot, all of a sudden they're a little bit too much to deal with at times. And I also think this is one of the few teams that is really good at taking away a lot of space here in the European region when it comes down to Gavutu. So you have to be on top of it just like you were in Berlin and not giving them too much breathing room to get behind you and stopping you for your setups.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously I think the narrative from our point of view is the fact that, hey, we've gotten the chance to watch this Ultra EU team literally all year long, so we've got at least something to frame up the conversation. But so far, I really have been impressed with what Katana's been able to put together, how they're trying to set up certain plays, especially throughout that Berlin Hard, and just the fact that their setups around the hills that they won rotation on were good. Their break attempts also were really, really solid. The question, I think, really does come down on a map like Gavudu, are you able to still find success in those particular areas? And I think first and foremost, I don't know about you, but the person that I'm looking to based on the first 2 maps, Ross. I think just based on how he has kind of been looked at as far as the 4-man roster is concerned, he seems to be the more objective and break-minded player. So I think it has to be on him largely to figure out whether or not there was going to be success here for Katana on these break attempts, and maybe even on top of that, hold attempts around this A zone in particular.
Yeah. We'll have to see, though, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, series tied up 1-1, Gavutu control. We have a different roster here for the Ultra Academy EU boys, but they're able to bounce back in the search and destroy. However, what else does this Katana team have to offer? Because they have already been able to come out with a little bit of fire in that first map. We'll see if they can keep that trend going throughout the respawns, but this one's going to be a tough one. We'll see how they battle up against some of the best best ARs, some of the best players that we have in the European region as we jump into it. And well, attacking first, Katana Gaming, we'll see what they got.
Yeah, and just for what it's worth, in Season 3, Toronto Ultra EU were really kind of utilizing Gavudu as their main control map. They were 5-3 overall on it, with mostly the losses were really close and the wins were pretty one-sided. So we'll see. Here we go, though. All the way over towards A. Katana Gaming, their first attempt has been stifled. Ross able to at least keep the play alive by finding 1 trade, but needs a little bit of help, and, well, it's not going to get here in time. We man for 3 in a row, and Ultra Academy all over the A zone.
This is what I was really worried about, right? As soon as you lose those initial break-off gunfights, all of a sudden you're battling from all these ARs, but they do a good job of dealing with Steve-O. That's the first one, and now they still have to get through Furious. Down low, has to try to save this play, looking for a potential second, but not going to be able to line it up, and I like this. A little bit of discipline. Steps back a little bit, tries to retake from his side, but Ross J is there, the objective man who finds 1, and now Steve-O desperately looking for that trade, and he gets it, but they're on the point, Katana are in.
Oh, and that's so good from Joka just to get out of dodge for a second, avoid some of the pre-fire, and then immediately turn around and make sure Wee Man is denied. Good help, of course, from Keza on 2 in front of that to open the door in the first place. And Joka's going to turn this into the first tick of progress. Ultra EU looking to re-contain this play by getting around the back, but Keza's opened up space through mid-map. Now Stevo has to come forward with no AR assistance, and well, he's historically been the best EU sub over the course of the last 4 to 5 years, and he gets a double no problem, and all of a sudden, Katana Gaming struggling to get back towards A.
Keza almost there for 7. That would have been the glide bomb. But this is still, a little bit scary here for Katana Gaming. They've only been able to come away with 2 ticks of progress. They'll get a touch on B, and they're going to draw player 6 over, which is Weeman, who has to win that gunfight off screen, and he does. So everything now looking to fall right in place for Toronto. Beans with the pistol, one of the better pistol players. And okay, good team shots from Stevo. Finds one more, goes on a bit of a spree, but this is great containment here coming through for Ultra Academy EU. They stop any chance at the A zone after Keza went on an unbelievable spree.
Yeah, that really is a really significant play out of Keza, and the fact that Ultra EU never really winced about it. Came back in, no problem. Good retake out of Stevo initially, and then the AR is able to get back into position, and well, once they get in position, we already talked about it enough. You expect to see him put the Katana in a bit of a blender. So only 1 tick of progress is given away, considering that Katana had a good look at not just a second tick at A, but nearly a first tick at B. That is a brilliant recovery at Ultra EU defensively, and on top of that, to finish off the round strongly, you've got the opportunity not just for streaks for Stevo, but Weeman and Furious are carrying some multi-kills into this next round as well.
Stevo up top, gonna wait patiently there. If Beans finds that opening, it's likely the green light to start moving over to B here. But now patient play. Stevo finally finds it. There it is. Glide bomb is in. Now Fudzy also wants to put on some pressure on all the respawners here from Ultra, but Stevo's going to draw now multiple members. Look at the minimap. 3 different players starting to shift over here, so that's going to open up A. They only need to find Ross J, and they can start making progress on A.
That's still a really clean, quick kill out of Joka. It not only allows an opportunity to make sure no significant progress at B is made, but look how quickly Katana get through ring and immediately contain Ultra EU in and around the boat. Even on top of that, you got 2 members defensively that can make sure no one actually sets foot on towards A. So what looked to be a really good thinning out of the defense out of Ultra EU because of the solo play. Katana is here to recontest, but only for so long. Stevo 11-4, an impressive double getting in towards green, and it's Ultra getting a first tick confirmed at A.
And this is what makes Ultra Academy EU really good at Gavutsu, because when you can have your sub player 11-4 on this map, it does wonders for you, because he's getting to positions because his ARs are setting him up, and they're continuing to put the hurt on Katana. Fudzy able to at least loosen it up a bit on the push, finds 2. Weeman almost snaps there for another, but while all this happens, A has been going over. It doesn't look like they're going to make any kind of an attempt to move in, so this will be an extra minute on the clock here for Ultra Academy EU.
Yeah, you're kind of lacking on map positioning with Katana to really even consider a contest, because if you go in with 1 or 2 and fall, the ability for Ultra EU to take key positions as they focus towards B would be much more easily done. So now you look at how Ultra EU are coming out of the A zone. They've been able to clear out and possess green, but there is still a lot to be done, especially considering that Katana have an advantage over the middle of the map with 2 players focused on topside ring. Even if you get around the back here, it is still able to hold from the defensive front, so to speak. So work to be done as far as Ultra is concerned, trying to clear out these positions. Well done for Stevo to get 1, but will they expect that Ross is still here? Apparently so, as Beans gets the kill off screen, and now Ultra can focus on trying to get on to B.
Oh, the awareness is so good, but 2 players holding strong. Fudzy, Chokla, both there for kills. Weeman from the side now. Can he find a second? No way does he get the second. Headshot there onto Ross J. And now they're still concerned about him, but Fudzy, with the patient play, will be able to take him out here mid-tank. So, still, stopping Ultra from getting to the zone, stuck inside of circles where they're currently going to be. And Stevo is going to opt in to call the glide bomb in here very late into the round. They will find 2 kills, but can they get to the zone?
And just based on how that glide bomb was coming down, I don't think Ultra got the awareness or the intel of where Katana was set up, but it may not make much of a difference. Stevo in a key spot mid-back, he gets a double. 1 more in the corner, Keza shuts things down, but at least it leaves an opportunity for Ultra EU to get on towards B, and with potential numbers, because it's an 11v5. Katana, you need these nades to start hitting. First tick of progress at B is good. Now a 10v5, 21 seconds on the clock. Stevo still running through the middle of the map, no problem.
Wow.
And that might lead to just the kills overall to be the success story of this offense. You would also love to get the second tick of progress just to make sure you've got more advantages. And Joka, is he even gonna? No, he's not even gonna be able to deny the 3rd tick. That's disastrous.
That is, you got to run out there. You got to get off the map immediately. As soon as you get down to those low of lives, you have to do something to try to make sure those ticks of progress don't come through. But I was questioning the glide bomb because, they only had circle control, right? They had 3 players all stuck inside of circle. They open up with 1 kill, but it's Beans that finds that second. And then Steve-O takes that route through the middle of the map that cuts off all the reinforcements coming off spawn. So they're able to just layer team kill after team kill there. And it's enough to make sure they get the offensive win, Alan. Now they just need to hold on to defense, and they're already off to a good start. Furious with 2.
Yeah, it's just that same kind of dominance that was showcased during Season 3 for Ultra EU coming back to play once again. And it really is, you look at maps like this, and the value of a player like Steve-O is immediately spotlighted as, I'm going to call him a rising star, but let's be honest, that star has risen years ago. Just kind of goes to show why he's had so much favor in the challenger scene. 6 in a row for Furious, looking for a glide bomb, and that might just be win condition in itself, honestly speaking, for this defense. Able to find another weapon just in case he runs out of ammunition from the first. Long-range shots versus Keza, no problem. Glide bomb now earned, and only 40 seconds for Katana to try to do anything.
Yeah, and you can see them just kind of desperately making a play over to B. Beans is going to be here. Even if he loses this battle, likely we'll get assistance coming through for Wee Man, but somehow Beans is still alive. And okay, he's able to go to the pistol and the nade. Cleans up 1 more, and yeah, this is just pure desperation right now. 20 seconds on the clock. They have the glide bomb. This is just completely controlled from Ultra Academy.
Yeah, absolutely is. Keza's going to get on to B, stop the clock. Glide bomb's going to come in, and that will likely be the final punch needed to knock Katana out of Gavudu control. Wow. I think the big thing here, outside of the fact that you've got this great AR lineup, as much as we kind of look at that, and I think maybe just kind of as a affair, we've talked about it as potential negatives as far as their ability to be flexible, but if there were ever to be somebody to reap a lobby as a solo main SMG, it's Steve-O from EU, and we just saw that on high display.
Yeah, I will emphasize, though, again, Steve-O gets to make those kind of plays and get inside of green, get inside of circle because his ARs were setting up really well. But it just comes back to that point that I made in round number 1. When it does happen, you can just feel the overwhelming pressure. You're like, he's still in green, guys. We haven't killed him yet. Their AR is still middle tank. They're still on boat. You just feel like you're so limited on where you can go. And then when you're the opposition on the other side and you're the SMG, like Ross J is, he's just calling out the ARs and hoping that his teammates are getting the trades. And if they're not, then you just feel that overwhelming pressure. You're losing out on life, you're losing out on map control, and I mean, this is why we continuously talk about Ultra Academy EU when it comes to Gavutu, and they showcase it here, even with Wee Man, being added right into the lineup, even better looking overall with him in the lineup right now on Gavutu with the way that he was playing a lot of these scenarios.
Yeah, in certain ways, absolutely. I mean, look, as much as we continue to gas up what Steve was able to do as a solo SMG and his history over the course of the last handful of years, copy-paste those conversations to Wee Man. I mean, for literally the exact amount of time it feels like that Steve-O's been relevant. The same can be said about Wee Man's ability to kind of rock through EU as a main AR. So when it comes to the 1-for-1 roster exchange, the role-wise, it leaves you a little bit more AR heavy than flexible comparing Gizmo to Wee Man. But at the end of the day, as far as the notoriety, reputability that Wee Man brings to the table, he's been obviously around the scene longer than Gizmo because of his age, but he's also been able to showcase his high-level ability to execute even in quote-unquote unfavorable situations. So yeah, really good stuff out of Ultra EU. They were a dominant team in control last season, and at least in this first eye test, I think you can say the same thing about what they looked like on Gavudu. Yeah,
without a doubt. 20 non-traded kills. Just, that's so frustrating to deal with. And, earning glide bombs on top of it. Furious goes on a 9 spree. Steve-O goes on a 7. Just everything you would ever want for a Gavutu control, it was there. And now we're starting to see, Ultra, be the Ultra that we kind of expect through this European region right now. And up against a Katana Gaming that we're able to kind of, set them back a little bit after the map number 1. They're starting to adjust, starting to figure out a bit of the play style. And Alan, going into, this next hard point, you have to now see Ross J kind of give us a little bit more based off what we've seen here so far. 6 and 19, I touched on it. It's not easy being a sub when you're battling up against ARs that are in strong power positions, but you need to be more involved in some of these plays. You need to either be with your teammates, finding some more trades because he's only coming away with 5 assists, or you need to be, kind of making those individual flank plays like Steve-O was doing, coming from behind, finding those valuable 2 pieces to open up a little bit more room to break inside of these hard points.
And let's be candid, for Katana Gaming, you've got Fudzy and Keza who have been at the top level at some form. know, Fuzzy was part of a different roster, but played in Toronto. I think he finished like top 32 or something like that. But Keza, of course, is a main staple of two major squads throughout both BO4 and Modern Warfare. But for Ross and Joka, this is their first real big look at a main stage affair. So when it comes down to being able to play up against high-level opponents day in and day out, you know, not to sit there and say that their qualifier run was any sort of a fluke, but you're playing up against a different caliber opponent all of a sudden. And those little decision-making moments of, do I have the awareness to make a gut check call subconsciously to push like Steve-O has seen? Or is it one of those things that you feel a little bit uncomfortable and you're not confident in your ability to get into key positions? So, yeah, it'll take a little bit of learning, I think, just for the SMG line for Katana Gaming, but we need to see improvement for sure in this map right here. And honestly speaking, I'm fine if Ross just takes chances, because that will at least give you the ability to learn on if I had the right opportunity to make this play, or did I maybe push too far forward.
Yeah, and actually, I really like that, because that's kind of what Gavutsu is in a nutshell, right? It's taking chances, trying to find those little windows of timings to see if you can get behind the back line, to see if you can influence the spawns through the back, get through the ship, right? How many times have we seen in a Gavutsu hardpoint where one player is able to sneak through the middle of the ship, get squad spawns, and boom, they can start to win that rotation going into, you know, those P3s, those P4s, whatever it might be. So that's really a lot what you kind of rely on when you look at your SMG player, and, you know, taking some of those risks are going to be necessary here for them. But I mean, I feel like if you are probably Ultra Academy EU, you're like, all right, well, we just smoked these guys 3-0 on Control. We just got to do it again going into the hard points. You have to imagine the confidence is probably going to be pretty high for these guys. Had a slow start, but now we're starting to find that footing, starting to slow a lot of these big playmakers down here on Katana Gaming. But they did show a great showcasing in the very first map on the Berlin, so they can bring some of that flair going into a Gavutsu, get us to a map 5. Anything could still happen.
And I think the biggest thing, too, just for what it's worth, comparing Berlin to Gavudu, like, the opportunity to do something strange is limited, if not nullified, by just the layout of Gavudu. So if you felt like you were a little bit too individually focused on, you know, hitting from the same angle in Berlin Hardpoint, and Katana's just able to run a weird route on you to kind of contain your ability to make plays, that's not necessarily going to be there for you on Gavudu. Your ability to read what your opponent is doing and where they could be spawning is made much easier because of how Gavudu normally runs. So I think with the experience that you get out of Ultra EU, even though, you know, the opening map, there were some questions as far as, you know, is the new roster not quite vibing when it comes to how they want to play exit timings from Hardpoint going into the initial new. You don't think that those are going to be problematic here on Gavudu, because it's literally everything is right in front of you. Maybe outside of a timing between P1 and P2, I mean, you have to go between polar opposite sides of the map between 3, 4, and 5. It's really easy to read what's happening depending on where your teammates are spawning or where you're feeling resistance, just because of that nature alone. So yeah, as much as I think that there were some moments that were questionable for Ultra EU, you have to feel like just because this is Gavudu, those things will be remedied, just because there's not the ability for Katana to pull off weird stuff.
And they played it a good amount of times throughout Stage 3. So will they be able to bring it here, close it out 3-1? We'll see. Time to kick it off, ladies and gentlemen. Could be the last one, or will Katana Gaming force us to a game number 5? We'll have to see everyone start to step up now as the initial gunfights come through.
Beans good for the opener. Furious keeps his life on the inside of ring. But Joka there for a trade, not going to be good enough. It's a full wipe coming through, 4 for 2, the exchange in total kills. Katana looking to set things up, as they will have numbers here first for this next break attempt. The problem about it is Steve-O's watching the cross, and he's going to make life very hard on Katana, trying to set up any sort of a hit from the front. And while the help over the middle of the map is perfect, Ultra EU dominate the second attempt from Katana Gaming.
And we hit on at the top of the broadcast just how good Ultra are at taking away space on the map. You see it there from Steve-O. You see it early from Furious, cutting off that rotation, already getting information here for everyone. And this is going to be a full hold. Steve-O's on 5 in a row. This man apparently is just too good on Gavutsu on the day right now, as he's too off of earning that glide.
Will be taken down, though, so at least the ability for Katana to mitigate some of the damage earned on P1 is good. And you've gotten the numbers over towards 2. Ross in trouble, and he actually forces the gunfight, catching Weeman to touch off guard. Steve-O looking for the trade, but Beans will beat him to the punch. And now Steve can worry about what's happening up top. Once again, his teammates beat him to the punch. So this is the thing is, you know, you talk about it, and there's Exhibit A, right? Your ARs are covering over the top of you, and then Steve-O is able to just focus on one thing. That's the difference that we're seeing right now, and what we've been talking about over the course of the last 3 maps.
And now they're in the same spawn trap they just experienced last time around on offense. but a chance to break. However, all 4 players are in the ship, so you see player 5 on the minimap, Beans, is going to come from behind, and look at it. Everyone's so focused on trying to get inside of the hard point that the rest of the map is open, and now you're going to have to battle through the beach side, and look where Ultra is. They are already in position in circle.
This is going to get scary really quick here, Austin. You need Ross to find an opening, but Wee Man was actually taking shots at Joka, and Ross ran right into the line of fire. So now things become much more hard pressed. Stun connects. Wee Man does not care. Shrugs it off. Still gets 3 in a row. Keza to the pistol. Does not expect Beans to be as close as he was. And as the beachfront hardpoint opens up, it's Ultra Academy already over 100 points.
I mean, this is just insane right now. Ross does play a little ring around the rosy. Comes up with one. This could be an opportunity. You need it here, but it's the pinch plays. Wee Man from the side. Everyone's tunneled on the front. The middle of the map is open. And there it is. That's about 3 in a row. This is your chance to try to break this. 30 seconds left. Get them off the time. Put them in the spawn trap of the gunfights. They're not being won, and Stevo's still alive.
Yeah, look, there's a great moment right there for Katana Gaming, and I think when you do VOD review, you have to focus on what was talked about in that moment right there and why it was so labored to get off. You had 3 players down on Ultra Academy EU, and you should have known that it was all 3 ARs, so it's only Stevo inside the hard point. You have to rush forward and overwhelm him with numbers before the ARs off respawn can get there. That or just trust that your nades on the mid crosses will delay Ultra Academy EU from getting there defensively. Just a slight mistiming. That's something that I think you can really look back and relearn about what happened and what went wrong. And now you at least are able to turn this into an opportunity with those clean kills to guarantee a rotation to 4. Just comes down to can you execute on your setup. So far, not convincing yet, as Ultra EU have already made their way to the front doors.
Here they go. So far, so good, though. First 25 seconds. Chance for Katana Gaming to still somehow work back into it, but now the flood of purple, and they'll win the battles here through the front. Fuzzy just looking for some angles, but none are being found, and now you're spawning in the back. You're going to have a late rotation. I love this play from Wee Man, who says, listen, you guys go forward. I'll make sure I hold this side of the map and try to keep them pinned back there as long as you possibly can. They get about 25 seconds, but Ultra do a good job getting in here, contesting the last 15 or so, and now it's going to be another late rotation coming off of this hill here for Katana Gaming.
Oh, I mean, it's going to be super late. Look at the pressure that's still coming off the exit from Ultra EU. And this is what I'm talking about when we mentioned things in Berlin where Katana were so good at opening up space and allowing one player to finesse while the others were on rotation. That's exactly what we just got out of Beans. He's just here trying to pick players off, make them stop for as long as possible. And this is going to turn into a free first 30 seconds for Ultra EU with the setup that they want and the spawns, of course, that will help them maybe turn this into a full minute at a time. So for Katana Gaming,
still alive.
It's a 3-man hit from the front side of the hard point. Stevo is only focused on that because once again, all of his ARs are watching everything else, and he turns that into a double. There is a chance for Katana to neutralize time, but getting here to actually earn time of your own is going to be hard pressed still.
Wee Man is just the definition of playing your life. My goodness. Over by the beach side, he stays alive for so long, and nobody can get around the back. No one can create an alternate angle to try to break this point. It's only coming through brute force through the front, and guess who's here at the new hill? Stevo's here. I mean, the only rotation that's been won so far was over by P4. And that's because you're going to always basically have that rotation when you lose P3. So, Stevo alive. He's still going rogue. Oh my goodness. Almost finds another. 50 seconds now here for Katana Gaming. They will have a bit of control at P1, but I mean, you're going to have to chain many hills together.
There's a moment right here, too, where you have number 3 in Ross who's trying to get to the hard point when, honestly, you already have 2 players there. Someone has to watch the mid-cross, and as he just gets caught on sprint, Ultra turned that into mid-map control, which means you can then overwhelm the 2 players inside the ring. And it's little misses here or there that are turning into major discrepancies between both teams. It really is. And so as Beans goes on 4, he's 20 and 11 for crying out loud. Mid-map dominated by Ultra EU, and a chance for them to actually win the game, maybe even right here. If not, you've got P2 to your back, and oh boy, it's just gunfight wins all over the place, and Katana Gaming are already leaving the lobby, bro.
Yeah, it's over. It's over right now. Stevo rogue with another big SMG performance here as he just takes them one by one. He pulls out the pistol. Who's next? Who wants more? My goodness, not Katana Gaming, that's for sure. 250 to 60. Great showcasing here through the Gavutus, and well, really picked their maps well when it came down to that map 3 and map 4 here, Alan. I mean, that was just a clinic.
Yeah, I really do think that in that moment, when it comes to us trying to get an eye test and learn about what this Katana Gaming team is going to do in this season, yeah, it's a bad loss. But you really see where the vulnerabilities are when you do get kind of beat up a little bit on a Gavudu hardpoint. And as clear as those moments were, and I think as definitive as they were in favor of Ultra EU, I still think if you're Katana, you clean up one or two of those moments, this map is much closer just based on the fact that the key last 20 seconds of certain hills, or I would say just the key areas of the map that were lost, that turned into snowball effect for Toronto Ultra EU. If you just clean up those moments a little bit more, you don't get snowballed on, and you can try to 50-50 some of the hard points that maybe you don't expect to normally. So as much as it was a pretty defeating loss here for Katana Gaming, hopefully there's going to be a lot learned off of this beatdown, because the moments that were lost were very clear. And I think once you look back and you think back to what were we talking about when this happened? Oh, we should have been focusing on this instead. Just that little mental change, I think, could automatically make them a little bit more convincing on the map overall. But for the other side, you know, obviously bringing the tip energy over to Ultra EU, we wanted to see them be convincing on the Gavudu. They were in both instances of both the control and the hard point.
Were they ever? And I mean, Weeman, I mean, he looked great on the day. I mean, sure, we're going to see him play some more matches versus, you know, some of these other top squads throughout this entire season. But, you know, so far so good. I really do feel like Weeman coming in allows a lot of the other players to really play a little bit more of an aggressive play style. Beans no longer has to kind of play this on and off role of, okay, Gizmo, you push forward. I'll play this kind of anchor role for the time being, and kind of switching off while he does it and Gizmo does it. Weeman's like ready to play this. I'll rotate. I'll play halfway through the map. You guys push and put on the pressure. I'll make sure we have spawns for next, and I'll watch this entire lane. That's kind of what Weeman really brings to the table, and he does it extremely well, finessing his life in a lot of those situations as well through the beach side, which was just absolutely perfect for making sure you're delaying these alternate hits from getting through the back here. So really looking fantastic, and they're looking terrifying on Gavudu. I mean, if I'm any other team right now, I'm really going to be watching over their Gavudu controls and hardpoint, so we're just going to veto it and get it out of that best of 5.
Yeah, don't watch it, just veto it, I think. It's probably fair, yeah. Best bet, dude. I mean, like, it's just the long-range pressure that this team is going to have is going to be maybe the best overall in Europe this season, just based on the roster that you've got. And I think the coolest thing about this Ultra EU roster is not only are we going to see who's going to step up the flex onto that second or maybe even third SMG when called upon, but I think more importantly, you're going to get a really good opportunity to spotlight a player like Steve-O again, just simply because he's playing the solo SMG. Like, it's going to feel very similar in ways to like what Havoc was doing in seasons 1 and 2 for the Texas Nation squad, because the roster was very similar, especially on maps like Gavudu, I should say. So I think that's kind of the biggest key, at least for Ultra EU. You know, a lot of confidence here too, just for what it's worth. You know, maybe a week worth of play time with Weeman at most. Now you've gotten your hands on a Katana Gaming team that was probably one that you were looking at in the major schedule, and you're sitting there saying, this should be a win for us. You're able to collect that, move on to match number 2. But with that, I'll say we actually have the ability here in this first slot to move our coverage over and watch a little bit more of what's going on, because we do have multiple matches happen simultaneously. For Rocker Academy and Invincibles, that'll be our next matchup coming up. And it's been an interesting affair so far, just kind of looking at the results as they've been reported on so far. Rocker took the opening Bacage hardpoint 250 to 182, but Invincibles responded with a great search and destroy on Desert Siege, a 6-3 win for them there. Any initial thoughts on either of these two teams from you?
I mean, coming in overall, both with a lot to prove, and we're also hearing that Rocker, you know, won the 3-1 in the control. Okay. And that's where they've kind of been really strong overall. When we watched them throughout last year during Cold War, remember that entire roster that was, you know, of course, with Journey, really good at being able to win a lot of their controls. One of the first teams that actually got really good at winning checkmate control on offense, which was obviously a really difficult thing to do in that game. So I'm looking at this squad to come through and showcase, you know, why they still deserve to be at the top, because we have not been able to see like strong performances when they come over internationally, but we always have a lot of great things to say about them when we watch them online, right? We know that Lucky, Metals, they've been that duo for a very long time now. Riel has been, you know, that up-and-coming talent that has been able to showcase a lot of what he brings to the table, but they haven't always been able to put it together consistently, and it feels like this team is always good at kicking off the year with a great start, having a couple of tournament wins, but then somehow they get figured out and they're unable to start to adapt and then overcome it again. I mean, we go back to even season 1 now, and these guys were our champions, right? So it seems like a big change up for these guys, and trying to get on to a point where they can actually be, you know, a big threat here through EU. I think they have to be able to take out Invincibles, kind of build that confidence here again for themselves.
And, you know, the thing about this Rocker Academy team is that's 2 back-to-back opens that they have been, I'm just going to use the word, Austin, they've been embarrassed. They lost to a team in Winners Round 2, 0-2, that was made out of NA players that largely were only known from OK CCL players. And then they lost, by the way, in that event to DTO in map 5. So it's just one of those things where, you know, for Rocker Academy, they've been great in these elites, even with the Sukri edition, kind of with the roster swap that we had. But the problem about it has been getting through the international convention of all the other teams that are there. On the opposite side, let's not take any moments here to kind of disrespect or forget about what the Invincibles have been able to do since picking up Nolson. They were able to take down AYM in Toronto 3-1, and they just barely missed out on playoffs last season. So I think when you're looking at this team going into season 4, not making any major changes, just trying to build some consistency, they are a major threat to make a playoff run in this season.
I definitely think so. It's the hard points for me, Alan, that I think that they need to show big improvement in, because I look at this lineup and I think Search and Destroy, okay, they have S&D in the bag. You talk about a lot of these players, you know, like Rafi, you know, coming through with the Search and Destroy scene. Nile as well. Love to play a lot of Search and Destroy throughout that region, oftentimes, you know, against a lot of the NA guys. But overall, it needs to be the respawns for me where they need to start to pick it up a little bit, need to show a little bit more consistency, need to find a couple of good maps that they can rely on in best of 5 series, because we know that you can be a good S&D team, and I mean, it's been thrown around forever. S&D wins you championships, but the problem is there's also 3 other maps that you're playing in that best of 5. You need to be able to find some wins somewhere, and, you know, coming through on a Berlin Hardpoint, you're really looking at, you know, having that team dynamic showcase here throughout rotations, throughout holds. It needs to be convincing, because if they can get to a Bocage, they might be able to get it done.
I like the call. We'll see how it all unfolds as Berlin Hardpoint is up next for us. And for the Rocker Academy team, as much as we talked about, you know, we wanted to see hardpoint improvements come out of Invincibles, that is not a conversation that is, you know, unconsidered for Rocker Academy. They only went 8-8 overall in hardpoint, having honestly a lot of struggles in the respawn overall when they got into playoffs. So that's going to be kind of the need here too for this Rocker Academy roster, looking to improve on their finish from last season and try to get back to, as you had mentioned, season 1 form. Because honestly speaking, since they made the roster swap up, dropping off Journey and picking up Sukri, they haven't been those guys since season 1. I mean, there really hasn't been any moments where we looked at them and said, these guys are dominating again. So let's see. Conviction needs to come through for Rocker Academy. Otherwise, on the opposite side, I don't want to call it an upset, but the ability to surprise in some form the normal expectations is definitely in play for Invincibles.
Absolutely is. And now we're just about ready to jump in here for us. Rocker Academy be a great way to come back into the final season here in the Elite. Find yourself a big win here through the first day. Maybe put together a second. Start to slowly but surely work back on top. Invincibles, though, backs up against the wall. Need this. Get it to an S&D. All of a sudden, this becomes very doable. This team's been putting in a lot of work here, Alan. A chance to be able to take out Rocker Academy as well right off day 1 would do wonders for them as they qualified back through. Got a lot of those reps in, but looks like we're ready to go. Time to kick it off. Here we go. Map number 4, Berlin Hardpoint. See if they can close it out, or if we're going to a map 5.
And I think, if, like you had mentioned, just to really hit it, if it gets to a map 5, who knows? With Invincibles, Search and Destroy being as good as it has been. But got to get there first and foremost. So let's see how it will run. And how about this little route here from Rocker Academy? Not really full flooding over towards the backside of pillars. They're going to use nades to contest the pillar door, and they're largely looking to deny any play through mid-map. This will keep them a little bit soft inside the hill. And how about the Invincibles? They're going to take that bit of vulnerability, turn it into a convincing kill feed. They'll only drop 1 in the process, and look at the zone coming forward. A great start for Team Invincibles.
Yeah, I love that. Grad outside, just kind of waiting patiently, finds that first kill, and then boom, hits it with his teammates to the front. The Lucky knows he has to go all the way around. Grad's ready for it. Big gunfight here versus Grad. Tries to take an alternate angle, struggling to find the 1 versus 1, but he will finally get it with the help of Nolson. And while that happens, his teammates have been able to circle around the point. Real gets himself in, and we will get a break and a bit of a fight here for the remaining 10 seconds.
I mean, that's great news for Team Invincibles, though. The break-off, whether you read how Rocker wanted to hit or not, you respond to it beautifully. And getting 30 seconds of the time, essentially, on P1 from the front is unbelievable. And even on top of this, look at the AR control over towards street side. Metals, who was looking for a little bit of help inside the hill before he made his move, was stuck. And Team Invincibles are not just going to win the majority of time on 1, they're going to convincingly take control of P2 here on the rotation.
Yeah, Niall's got a lot of control to the outside. Just needs to win this battle up close, but no, Real is there. And Nolson comes right off the hot spawn for the trade. Grad now, an opportunity to break open this hill, but Lucky will have none of it. Puts together a couple of kills, and that will be the break. Rocker is good to start collecting some time, but coming through again, the Invincibles want to put pressure on the scrap time.
Now, the problem about it is it looked like Rafi was just looking to finesse, maybe for a kill or two, and then the decision could be made for Team Invincibles. Do we want to commit to this crack time, or do we want to just kind of give it away? Problem with the exit coming off of Rocker is you're not really in a position to make that luxurious decision. You kind of have to force yourself to bunker up in towards the third hill. So Real controlling fire alongside of Metals. Trade's looking to come out, but Real is not going to be able to find any angles to do so. Now the focus goes back over towards Crane side, and the first 2 kills are good. This should lead to a lead swap, or probably a flip of the spawns with potentially a lead swap if Rocker could break. But the problem about it is Grad gets a double from the front, and that'll keep the hardpoint green for Team Invincibles.
Yeah, everyone's trying to hold on to their spawns, but it's Metals with 3 in a row, and you still have Real in the back, who's a huge part of making this spawn flip happen. Time being collected, Rocker a chance to run away with another 30 seconds here potentially, but the Invincibles now ready on the break. They find a kill. Metals from the front almost connects onto 2 with the hip fire. Not gonna fully happen here for him. Sukari comes in for 1. Team nade from Real. A little bit unfortunate, but with the spawns in the back, you're still just trying to keep them pinned back here as long as possible. Rocker keep it scrappy, and they're able to get at least a little bit of time.
Honestly, though, that's still a win for Invincibles in my mind. Metals was really the only reason that Rocker found any sort of convincing time, because he burst through the front with 3 straight eliminations. But for Team Invincibles, you get the spawns that you wanted. You get flipped back at one moment in time, but you're able to still turn it into the better part of the back 20 seconds. So a really good hard point for Team Invincibles. It keeps the pressure on Rocker Academy. And as we get over to the train yard, the setup is largely reserved, not really in a position to fight over towards the warehouses, but these are key headies that could come into play with the automatons, and so they will. Metals for a double outside of Real's opening first blood, and the only player you're missing is Nile. He'll be finished off, and it's Rocker Academy with the first 30 seconds.
This is what I really wanted to see. You know, Lucky AR back in his hands, doing what he was doing at the beginning of the season, 11-5. Now just going to be soaking up that time, relying on his teammates to shoot in and around him, and he wins another battle up close there. So this has been an incredible hardpoint for Rocker Academy. Invincibles have barely even seen the hardpoint itself. But now with a couple of nice shots, we'll be able to stop maybe some early rotations coming through. We'll hold on to this train control, and that will allow the early setup here at P5.
I will say, when Nile is on, this team could be one of the best in Europe. But when Nile is off, it feels like the team struggles to kind of get things going. So far, I would say he's on. So we'll see if that can turn into some conviction here around the 5th hardpoint. Oh, that's not good news. Rafi caught with the pistol. Metals turns, finds the kill, and that'll lead to convincing control over the train station as Rocker Academy are inside P5, accruing some pretty solid time. On the response, though, Invincible's able to re-clear, and now with numbers look to flood, and the kills are just as good as you'd like. Sukri not really able to do too much besides try to play his life, and he'll be unable to do that as Team Invincibles will get a full team wipe and an opportunity to not just get some significant time here. They've got the benefit of the left side of the minimap in their favor.
And you can see how teams have been able to kind of make P5 a little bit more of a money hill at times when you control the P2 area. And they've done a good job of winning these battles. Again, Metals from up top. He can't get involved in the hill. Real now has to start to focus on going all the way around with his teammates to see if they can get to P1. And with the majority of that time kind of getting split back and forth, now you have the early setup inside of P1. It's just all about winning these initial battles as Grad set up inside.
Double in hand for Grad, though. Once again, when you start to look at Rocker's situation saying, oh, there's no way they lose this, somebody pops off for the Invincibles to at least throw some extra consideration. Good response once again, though, out of Lucky. You mentioned him earlier. He's continuing to have an incredible game. 16-9 with 1:30 in the hard point. Metals watching the front doors will give the information needed, and, well, the follow-up for Rocker Academy is near perfect. Rafi's still looking to force a fight for the last 30 seconds. Sukri pushed off the back angle. Maybe a chance to try to pinch this if you're the Team Invincibles, but the numbers just aren't all that good. Trades are not going to largely be good enough. Metals able to get back outside the hard point to find one, and it's just down to try to search out Nile. And in the corner, and he's done well to keep his life a little while longer. He's going to need help, though, and it is here just in the nick of time.
Wow, I mean, Nile just the ability to play his life, and now look where he goes. Boom, he is here to start cutting down all of the Rocker Academy players. One will slip through, but the rest of them have to start to worry about all these little corners inside of fire before they can even worry about P2. And Nile from the front tank is just having an absolute feast on everyone that enters in his sight. 2 in a row for him. 14-10, going to reinforce the point now as it's the Invincibles trying to bring this one back, just down by about 10 points.
Okay. And they win the rotation convincingly here. A little help from a team nade. Oh, but they don't read exactly where Rocker are coming from. Everyone's expecting them to be on the right side of the map over towards warehouses, but the spawn for Rocker was down towards train station. So now, all of a sudden, the high ground around P2 has to be forfeited by Team Invincibles. And this is good control. I love this call out of Invincibles. Get off the hard point. Make Rocker come to you. They can't just sit up top the entire way through, but Nile not quite able to win the final gunfight needed. So as Invincibles will continue to play for the scrap time, the question is, where has Metals gone? And look how difficult he's making life for them. A couple in a row, eventually taken down, but that guarantees Rocker the rotation over towards 3.
Good positioning here from Real inside of the bomb site. Will be able to find himself a kill through the dockside, and they're so worried about him, they can't really push forward until they deal with Real. And Real's got some deep assistance there from Lucky. Kind of watch over the long range through the dockside, but Metals inside the hill is good for 1. And through the front, the Invincibles have not been able to find anything. They make a desperate play, but maybe this is their chance to try to break through. They have split out the spawns in the back. Have to win these battles here if you're lucky. He comes in, but won't be able to win it. Nile there for 1. Good kills coming back and forth. It's a complete up in the air hill, but it's Rocker that get there, and Real's good for 2.
Yeah, it's a really difficult breakdown just from Team Invincible's mindset in real time, because you called it. There was a split spawn situation for Rocker where one player was blocked and spawned down towards train station, but 2 others were able to get back over and spawn towards Crane, and Invincibles were mostly reading the train station play. They didn't expect that the spawns were still in the back of the hard point, and that caused for Rocker to get back in for what is some really good scrap time. It'll put him over the 200-point threshold and a chance to possibly put the game a touch out of reach, as Metals once again is making a mess of the spawns as the train yard opens up. Glide bomb also going to get called down as Real was able to earn that in this life 7 in a row. Good information here as far as how Rocker wants to break. Can they find the kills though?
Oh, Rafi needs to stay alive in the back, and he's unable to do so. Lucky gets in, finds the kill. So now a chance to start getting some more time as Rocker Academy, they're over that 200-point mark. Metals also finds Nolson, who was trying to come behind the back. Not going to happen, and now the Invincibles have to battle through the front. Grab with the stun, gets information, but the team shots are too good. The setup around the P4 hill, too much to deal with right now for the Invincibles, but they have to get on the side.
Oh, that is so good from Lucky. Just goes prone, says, come and get me if you want me. And no one really wanted to go get him, so he says, thanks for the reach, and I'll turn that into 5 in a row. Metals able to block off the next possible hit from train station as he's dominating over through lobby side, and this will be Rocker over the 240 mark. And what was a really tight game has been essentially blown up as Rocker dominate the last 2 hard points.
They can put it away. Just need 1 good break. The Invincibles would have to hold on to P2 and train station and have a player on the hill. Yeah, that's not much to ask for, right, Alan?
No,
but
not
either
at all.
way, they're going to have to try. As Lucky comes to the side, good kill here for Nile. Grab there for 2. And now Sucre's going to be able to win out on train station, but he's already threatened through the back here as they're thinking ahead, trying to set themselves up for P1. But Rocker, they still only need 1 break in 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's just the leader's advantage is more than significant right now for Rocker Academy. Your win condition is made easy by essentially multiple ways that you can put this game out of reach. But the good news here for Team Invincibles is you've gotten the side of the map that you need. If you can just clear off the hard point, maybe you can extend, but the problem is they're not allowed to get back over towards the first hill. So Rocker Academy will do what's required, and honestly just came off of P3, P4, able to lock things down, maybe get a little bit blessed on the fire lobby with the spawns in the back. That was not expected by Team Invincibles, but Lucky's individual plays so many times, no more important than the one that was done on Train Yard was the difference maker in the end. Yeah,
Lucky just finds a kill, finds 2, and then just goes prone and says, you're worried about me, and then boom, Sukari up top of the tower is there to watch over him, has his push, that duo kind of just working off one another there throughout P4 and turned it into, a good 45 seconds, if not more. So incredible stuff. Metals here with 27. Lucky, though, 29 in 15, 23 of those non-traded kills with the AR. When your ARs just aren't winning out on those battles and, aren't trading out on Lucky, you're just constantly running into this brick wall over and over and over again. And we got to see it through those hills you listed, Alan. Incredible stuff. The respawns just a little too good here for Rocker Academy as they take down Invincibles in their first match.
Yeah, looking dangerous for sure, but I will say, just we only got to watch that map number 4. Looking at the tallies here from Invincibles, that is a pretty significant start for you. And this was going to be a hotly contested one on the schedule. Again, you look at this one, and I think if you're Invincibles, you say this would be a hell of a win if we could pull it off. But if we don't win this one, it's not the end of our season, obviously. There's still a number of opponents that are yet to come that you look at and say, okay, these are the matches that we absolutely have to have if we're going to make it into playoffs for the first time for the core majority of this roster since Season 1. So we'll see kind of if that will unfold as we dig through. That's the first set of matches, though, on day number 1 for Europe. Done and dusted. We started things off watching over the matchup between Katana Gaming and Ultra EU. Really curious, I think, just to see what Katana was going to put together. And even though they started off the series well with a good map 1 win and a hotly contested search, the objective play for Ultra EU on a good video was a little bit too hot. And then on top of that, off stream, the Awobabos going up against Dizzy's Rascals matchup, that was a 3-1 for Awobabos, but that was a pretty tight set of hard points, blowouts on the search and the control. Dizzy's Rascals also fell down 0-1, and we're going to get them next to see if they can find a way to take down this Invincibles roster here, Austin.
Yeah, they're going to have a bounce back now and, try to see if they can take this time, look over some of their respawns and try to get it done. I have a lot of confidence when it comes down to their search and destroy and, how deep their playbook really goes at times and their ability to figure people out. Just a matter of trying to implement that going into the respawns and making those adjustments halfway through. So we'll see if they can do it. Either way, we'll know it's going to be a good one.
Well, it's good to be back. It's good to see all of you guys back. It's the final season of EU Elite. We're going to step away for a brief break, let the teams go through the veto process, and we'll be back with our second slated matchup in Europe. It's Dizzy's Rascals and Team Invincibles coming up right at the break. Hello and welcome back to Call of Duty Challengers Season 4. We're still in Europe, and it's our second slated stream slot coming together. My whole shift with me, Visions. And Austin, I think it's pretty safe to say, we hate to go down these conversation paths early, but this second matchup coming out for the Invincibles and Dizzy's Rascals is a really important one when it comes to trying to find a W and extend your hopes of trying to push to playoffs.
And I mean, the reason we always bring it up, especially in week one, because how often does it happen going right before playoffs that there's a tiebreaker and someone misses out by, one spot, one map at times, right? So, every single series really does have a lot of value, especially when you have a lot of stacked teams within the region as a whole. So I think you're right. You got to come out here if you're the Invincibles. You have to put on a better performance. Show us, that you've been able to improve at least a little bit throughout the respawns. And if so, you might be able to at least go 1-1 throughout day number 1.
Well, let's get a better look at both of these two rosters. Of course, we just came off of a Map 4 affair with Team Invincibles. Unfortunately, not quite able to close out a Berlin Hardpoint to extend the series versus Rocker Academy. On the other front, though, first look, at least for this broadcast in particular, at the Dizzy's Rascals roster. I think the biggest thing about it is their performance at Toronto was, I won't say insignificant. They looked okay, all things considered. Kind of the same ballpark as the Invincibles overall of the event. And going forward, I think it's just one of those things of, are we going to see improvements for this Dizzy's Rascals roster, not only from Toronto, but of course after their roster changed from Season 3.
And I think there's a lot of raw talent, right, that you have on this Dizzy's Rascals lineup. I mean, we talked about Mythix at the beginning of the year, talking about he was someone that was, paired up with a lot of really strong and experienced teammates, but has kind of found himself now working within, BB Connor, Dizzy, and Henry here to see if they can put together a team that can actually make some waves. And even BB Connor, I think, is another one that had, a lot of big moments actually at the Ultraland, was putting on, a couple of plays that were able to keep them in it, get them, one map further. So I think there's a lot of raw talent. It's just putting it together, and if you can do it up against an Invincibles lineup, that could very well be your window to start to look, finding and stacking up these wins throughout week number 1.
And I think just largely speaking, we talk about a player like Mythix. He had a lot of excitement about him being, obviously a recent eligible player in Challengers. The same obviously can be said about Dizzy, but you've got two very well experienced players with you here. BB Connor and Henry were key members of big teams that made upsets occur during the BO4 World Champs here at CWL. So, you've got a lot of that veteranship built in. Obviously, the kind of distinguished favor that BB Connor and Henry were able to kind of put together after that BO4 year has kind of faded a touch, but, you're kind of sitting in a position where, you really do need this kind of young gun in Mythix to get involved, because you replace another experienced member into Whalers after Season 3, and after a top 24 finish at Toronto, you're just hoping that you're able to find improvements, largely speaking. Make the corrections, learn your lessons, and try to be a more significant force as you start to make your moves towards potentially a playoff run.
That's right. Get some youth in there. See if you can find someone who can be that aggressive, explosive player. And overall, I think, you did have a bit of a slower lineup when Whalers was still, in this team. So this very well could help maybe speed up a little bit of that tempo if they decide to play some of those smaller maps within the rotation overall. But like you said, 7th, coming in, you need to find themselves, a better placing if they want to make some waves coming into the end of the season, because there was not a lot of time left, and we absolutely fly through the season as well, so every single match, it completely matters. But we'll take a look at the Invincibles. We just saw them. They ended up losing to Rocker 3-1. They did end up closing out that search and destroy Allen, but they need to see if they can start to clean up some of their respawn.
Yeah, in the core 3 of this squad, and Nile, Grad, and Rafi, they were part of rosters in the past that had not only been in Challengers Elite during Cold War, but they also had made playoffs in Season 1. So after their loss, as you had mentioned, this kind of turns into a must-win, really for both teams, because Dizzy's Rascals are also coming off of a loss versus the Awoba Bob. So, 7th seed currently for the side of Dizzy's Rascals, 6th seed currently for the Invincibles. I mean, obviously take that with a little bit of grain of salt, because only one match has been played so far. But the biggest thing here with Nolson being the more recent addition to this roster, and just kind of being back into competitive Call of Duty after a little bit of a hiatus, is this going to be the same situation where are you going to get the improvements needed to get past that kind of barrier and get in towards playoffs? Because they were close last season, not quite able to get through the really a ringer of a season overall. So it's a must win here for both these two teams if you want to largely keep your playoff chances not just alive, but more comfortable as you look through the rest of your schedule. And before we can consider the rest of the schedule, to look at the best of 5 layout, Berlin Hardpoint, Desert Siege, Search, and a Berlin Control to start things off. These are 3 maps that Team Invincibles did play in their most recent series. So, hopefully not only have you learned your lessons about things that you were messing up on last season and in Toronto, but also what you just kind of unfortunately fared up against the Minnesota Rocker Academy team.
And that tells me that, listen, we made small mistakes. We can easily fix them coming back into this second series. That's kind of what it screams to me when you're willing to at least roll back a lot of the same maps. And while the good news is that they also have that Desert Siege in map 2. They did have, a decent win there. I think it was 6-4 over Rocker Academy. So you have one map right away that you already won. That's going to maybe instill some confidence in you. But, just cleaning up a couple things within the Berlin Hardpoints. I mean, if we just look back on the Rocker series for a second, Alan, it was really just like the P3s and P4s where they struggled on. Other than that, they were keeping it very, very spicy throughout the P1s, throughout those P2 holds. They were winning rotations, doing a good job of influencing the spawns. It was just some of those P4s that they could not break. And while maybe they've talked that over and are coming in here with a bit more of a fresh mindset or a better idea on how to approach it.
Yeah, really, if we wanted to call a spade, it was one rotation between 3 and 4 that kind of cost them the game. So I think up until that point, it was a 50-50 affair largely throughout the entirety of the map. But on the other side, if you want to talk about possible favor, Dizzy's Rascals did beat Awobabob's 250-201 on this Berlin Hardpoint. So who knows? Could be a strong point when it comes down to what Dizzy's Rascals wants to utilize as a tool here in their respawn throughout Season 4. Waldo and Shane again bringing us the action, and we're just about ready to go with our second series here in Europe. A key one for both of these two squads as they look to hopefully get their first dub on the board, and with that also hopefully keep their playoff chances a little bit higher than if you were to start off 0-2. We'll see what happens. Berlin Hardpoint, Desert Siege Search, the first 2 we're to get in this instance. And I'll be curious, I think, just to see, just kind of looking at individual players. What are we going to get out of Mythics in this season? Could Dizzy possibly earn his namesake over the roster overall? And on the opposite front, which Nile are we going to get? And can Nolson possibly continue his favor since rejoining the Challenger scene?
Well, now with a good opening kill through the back alley, might be able to start to create this hit to the front. BB Connor gets 2, and now it's all up to Dizzy to try to hold the line while his teammates come off spawn. And well, that quick respawn, of course, coming in the back here behind P3 will be good for Dizzy's Rascals, but it's Nile who's been able to play his life. He's on 3 in a row. He's trying to make it 4.
Well done from Nile. Right over the top of the statues at Concrete. Gets it to 4, and look at this route being hit. He knows exactly how he wants to cut off the reinforcements and make rotation difficult, but the same information's there for Henry. Slides forward, predicts that Nile's going to be on the cross, but it doesn't make a difference because Grad is the second line of defense on the rotation, and with that, Team Invincible's good for the scrap, and they've got numbers over towards Mail.
Oh, that's a big win for Nolson right there. He loses that. All of a sudden, the early control might not be here, but BB Connor, he takes out 2. And now the Invincibles going to have to try to rally together. You don't have everyone, here at P2. So it's up to Grad and Raffy to try to play their lives, wait for their teammates so that they can get inside this hill. But for now, everything just going to the game clock.
Wow, the pinch is good, though, for the Invincibles. They clear out the Dizzy Rascals defenders of the second hardpoint, and they still have ARs that are watching towards the outside doorways. So really good zone of control on the outside of the hill, but Dizzy from the interior looks good for the 2. Breeds a 3rd. That'll be no problem. Now the regen comes out looking for 1 more. It's Nile who's trying to finesse his life on the outside of the mailroom entry. And, well, he will get involved with Grad in the break for scrap time. Good, as Invincibles have numbers trying to get the last 20 seconds.
Heads up play there for Nolson. He wins that one-on-one. If not, likely the spawns will not be here. So he's able to make sure they have control at the new hill while still contesting the old one. So the Invincibles going to be up by about 20 seconds or so. Grad just going to start to roam around the map, and Nile's going to put on that early pressure through the dock side. He might have found the timing to come from behind. Takes out Mythics, going to control those docks just a little bit more. And now everyone back to step 1 here for the sound of Dizzy's Rascals.
It just, the focus for the Invincibles is so well put together. With 45 seconds on the clock, you still want to make sure you hold spawns. If you lose from the front, at least you'll be able to get your returning spawners back involved quickly. But quick rotation on Dizzy's Rascals. Some pressure starting to mount over towards Crane's side, but no one able to collect kills. BB Connor the last one to stay alive, but the team shots coming out of Invincibles is too convincing. And now with 25 seconds left to play for, it's all about the Invincibles holding down the front, and the opening kills are good to do so.
What a hill. What a hill. I mean, Raffy 8-3. 18 seconds left. All of that's going to be collected. Nolson again threatening the rotation just like he did at P3. Dizzy's Rascals going to have to start to put in some work here, and Henry's going to find 2. That will slow things down quite a bit. Grad dies in the middle of the map, and now this is a good chance here for Dizzy Rascals to get back into the game. They have this set up. Those are deep spawns coming through, and Dizzy knows exactly where they are.
And not only does Dizzy get the read on these crossers, but he's able to transmit this information to Henry, or so you'd think, to try to cut down these reinforcements on multiple fronts. But all of a sudden, Invincibles have opened the door. Nolson on the way forward, takes care of the contest spot, does get naded, but keeps his life, and with that, the spawns will actually flip for just a moment. 98 plays 36. And Dizzy's Rascals not in a convincing position to do too much besides just take 50-50 gunfights over the top of the hard point. Not able to get inside as of yet. First and foremost, a kill needs to come through from the front of the hard point, and Henry has just opened the door to allow Dizzy's Rascals to get on for some time.
Brad just needs to try to get the player off time. That's great right there, right? You stop a lot of this from going over. A lot of it goes to the neutral time clock here for yourself. So it is still 100 points that the Invincibles will reach off of the point, but now going to be able to maybe win this rotation going into new. That's going to be the big factor here for us. Couple kills come through. Henry and Mythics able to loosen up the defense throughout the map. Down by a hill, you need to make something convincing happen on P5. You do not want to go down too much going into the second set of rotations.
And this is just really good awareness from our observing team of Shane and Waldo. We talked about it a lot. We wanted to see Mythic start to pop off. He is only 1 in 12 going into that last life. 3 in 13 with barely any time in the hard point. So one of our key X factors as far as players we wanted to see really kind of show up, not there yet for Mythics. And that's turned into the Invincibles back to a 60-point cushion in the score. And more to come as they wipe out the middle of the map and get right back on for hardpoint time here in the destroyed hallway.
Oh, look at the map right now. You have everything pushed out through the back of train station. You have good P2 control. The only good news, I guess, coming here for Dizzy's Rascals is that one player is able to slip through and get some squad spawns, but player 2, Rafi, he's well aware of it. The control through the map is incredible. Rafi finds 2. Grad gets the 3rd. And now it's back to step 1 all over again. We've said this a couple times, and it just feels like they are in the blender now, and they need to get in. They finally will, but still 50-50 battles.
And, you know, for what it's worth, you know, just kind of comparing and contrasting what we got out of the last instance watching Invincibles play up against Rocker Academy. These were the same plays that they were making against Rocker. The problem about it was Rocker was able to at least contest. That's why we had such an easy 50-50 game going on between the both teams in the first rotation and a half worth of hills. The thing that's really popped off here for the Invincibles, though, is the problem spot they had versus Rocker when it comes to finessing and trying to get exit kills and then also play for rotation. They're finding so much success with that here. So that's why we're getting the score that we currently have. And for Dizzy's Rascals, it's just kind of all falling apart here from the get-go. Need to put something together, and it needs to be here as we look to exit from 1 and rotate over to 2.
Henry's got to chain some kills together. So scrap time might be good, but might not be good. Henry still got to win 1 more. He's able to finesse and almost take the battle, but not going to happen. And now it's still numbers here for the Invincibles at the new hill. Players are going to be spawning out behind P3. Mythic's just trying to get a gunfight going for himself. 5 in 19, just has not been very involved. And, well, the new touch is going to come through as Niall gets 2, cleans up the point. But moving in first, you will at least get Dizzy's Rascals in. Now it's just about holding.
Yeah, it's just never a good situation when you have less kills than we've seen hard points on the map so far. And it's hard to talk about success on rotation or on holds when, for all intents and purposes, you're not able to get anything going. I mean, to be fair, the rest of his teammates are playing pretty darn well, but you can only do so much when one of your key AR players is just kind of missing the gunfights on rotation, trying to cut off reinforcements. So that's definitely something that we need to see improve if Dizzy's Rascals want to make an affair out of this Berlin hardpoint. Otherwise, it just may be cruise control to a W here for Invincibles in map 1.
Mythics has started to turn it up a little bit. 5 spree here for him. Maybe the opportunity to get something going at the new hill. If you can come away with a full 60, it's still doable, but Mythics needs to keep this going for himself and earn a glide bomb. That could be your key factor. He should be behind 1, but Nolson reads it. Finds BB up front, turns for Mythic, shuts down the spree. And now Henry has to try to make a big individual play himself, but he can only come up with 1. The break attempt coming in now for the Invincibles.
And at least for the good news here for Mythics, you come off of your second spawn and you make sure that the crane spawns are still in your team's favor. So now you can keep your guns up and focus purely on the front. Henry actually goes to search out what's happening through fire, and he gets cut down. So now numbers starting to amass here for the side of Team Invincibles. Mythics looking for the double up off the pistol, but can only do so much damage. Rafi on the way back forward turns it into a double. The break attempt is good, and with that also the spawn flip.
Oh, this time is so good, too. I mean, you get 20 seconds here, going to put you over 200. And it's Nolson again. This guy has been on the route every single time, and he's able to win that battle up top onto BB Connor. Are you kidding me?
Gosh.
This man only showing, just, 14 and 19? But he has been making the route plays, winning the spawns, collecting the time here with the help of his teammates. I mean, this has been a crazy turnaround for the Invincibles.
Yeah, the thing about it is, we saw instances and moments of this versus Rocker Academy, but Rocker was able to put together very good looks in their own right. That has not necessarily been the case here so far from Dizzy's Rascals. So now you're forced to essentially have to play a perfect set of hills here between 4, 5, and 1 if you even want to have a chance to extend the map. And at least for now, over to the train yard, you've kept this Invincibles line a little bit thin, but the ARs just light things right back up off the respawn. And now win condition has been established for Invincibles, either here on the hard point or next as we rotate over to 5.
Well, the Invincibles, took a little bit of a note of what Rocker were doing really well. One player playing down low, one up top watching over each other, and that allows them to work out for just about all of that scrap time. And just a few more seconds to put this one away. Raffi with 3 off screen. Grad finding them off spawn. This one is all done.
Oh, God.
Oh, my Grad. You can't do that. That's not allowed here. Oh, my goodness. A couple more kills. There it is. Invincibles. They come out and shred this team, Dizzy Rascals, as they didn't stand a chance. 250 to 105. My goodness.
I think I'm just most impressed by this Invincibles team because they're continuing to make the right reads, the right decisions, and then this time they were able to win the key gunfights to turn it into the same snowball that we saw from Rocker Academy in the last time that we had a chance to watch them play Berlin Hardpoint. So really, really solid stuff from Invincibles. Obviously, you'll love the little extra cherry on top when it comes to everyone just absolutely frying and winning gunfights they've got no business winning. But it's still one of those things that you just love to see the right plays being read, even in difficult moments. It obviously made it a bit easier because the resiliency out of Dizzy's Rascals was less significant than Rocker Academy throughout this map. But the fact of the matter is, when you were kind of on the back foot, you made the right response. And this time, the call led to good response, not just overall with the decisions, but also the execution, which turns it into a runaway game. Yeah, you love to see that from Invincibles Respawn.
And I gotta just give another, big props to Nolson for making a lot of those rotations work out. You can see, the massive clips coming through for Nile, Raffi, and Grad. A lot of them just had big individual moments where they're finding multi-kills, but, Nolson is doing that dirty work, and that dirty work is making, a heads-up play call saying, listen, there's 25 seconds on new. I just spawned up, guys. I'm going to go to the new hill, set up and get us squad spawns, win that initial gunfight, make sure we hold on to it, and he's always just ahead of the play, thinking about what's next. And that is just really what you want to see out of someone like Nolson here, setting up his teammates for success, allowing them to get those setups intact. But obviously, you can't ignore the score lines: 32 and 16, 24 and 18, 27 and 17. They're frying out. There's nothing really else to say.
Yeah.
And Mythics just had a slow start and really just couldn't get things going to be able to match a lot of that slaying pressure through the early and mid game.
And look, I just want to remind people out there that maybe, are new to Challengers this year, or maybe even new to the competitive Call of Duty scene this year. Nolson was on that unit squad that finished top 6 at BO4 and then turned it into being part of the Royal Ravens Academy team in Modern Warfare, followed up by a really solid finish to the season throughout Cold War. It was just, he was part of that kind of conglomeration of EU players that stepped away from COD at the beginning of the year, and he only just came back at Stage 3 quals with this Invincibles team. And as soon as he kind of had put himself out on Twitter saying, hey, I'm going to get back and try to compete again, I was like, look, whatever team picks him up is going to be a major threat immediately, and that has been the case. So yeah, we're singing some pretty good praise here for Nicky Nolson, but it's for good reason. He's seen as much success as everybody else on this same roster when it came down to the surprise factors that were built into a lot of the CWL narrative during that BO4 champs. Coming off of the open finals in Miami where we qualified another 16 teams to compete up against those CWL squads, and Nolson was a main reason of why that units team was as good as they were. So it's great to have him back and great to see him making plays like that, because you expect that from a veteran like Nicky Nolson.
You certainly do. But now we look forward, and coming up next, the Invincibles, well, now they're feeling a lot better through the first couple of maps of this series, because they win the Berlin Hardpoint. They make some crazy adjustments to make it look like it's almost too easy, and now they go back into a map mode combination that they already successfully won versus Rocker Academy there in that last series. So a chance to be able to potentially pull ahead early in that 2-0 here in the best of 5. And I mean, again, when I think of this lineup, when I think of Brad, when I think of Rafi, I mean, I just immediately, my brain goes to Search and Destroy. This is their element. This is where they find a lot of their success. This is where they come up, coming into the competition here in Challengers before really getting into Respawn originally. So, I mean, this is going to have to be, a lot of work needs to be done for Dizzy's Rascals to shut these guys down, stop them from making plays, and really find yourself in a spot where you're not 2-0 going into a Berlin control where these guys are going to have all of that fire to kind of carry on through with.
Yeah, and I think the thing, too, is if you are a team like Dizzy's Rascals, coming off of your first season, last season, and Season 3, you hope that your Search and Destroy will be one of the key components that you see a lot of the improvements in. And, this is the team that finished last year in the, not last year, in the last season, but a lot of their series were really close. They only got 3-0 swept once, and it was actually, oddly enough, against this Invincibles rosters where at least 2 of the 3 maps were tremendously close. But you look over the course of what they were able to do during the rest of the group stage, they had wins in front of them a number of times, but a couple of the missed chances, they had 2 different Game 5 losses. So, you talk about your ability to kind of clutch up in Map 2, Map 5, it gives you the ability to surprise teams and consider the, extra W's tallied up for a potential playoff run. So I think largely speaking, when you kind of turn last season's conversations towards the narratives that we're building for this one, this is the one mode combination that we really need to see Dizzy's Rascals improve in, because you're going to sneak away cheeky things in Respawn here or there, but if you're consistent and you're Search and Destroy, your ability to beat not just this Invincibles team, but other squads here in Europe becomes much more elevated. So we'll see what they have in mind, as it'll be Dizzy's Rascals on the offense first. BB Connor just checking as he may over towards what's happening over towards A early, but it's actually Mythics who finds first blood on the B side of the map.
Rad. Just kind of playing a little bit of an off angle up top here for anyone that might be trying to move on up. They know that they could be down low right now, and it's up to Grad to kind of stop it if they want to try to move up top. But Mythics, nice shots under Rafi, finds him at the top of the bomb, and that's going to turn it into a 4v2. So now Grad has to make a play, and he does. He's able to get one, escapes with his life, but the bomb's going to go down at A, and they're going to have to retake here through 3 players.
I was about to say, yeah, Grad's going to try to force something into the train cars, and that's going to be just a matter of COD timing. Do you find the guy first before he finds you? Niall was looking to rotate over, but he's actually slipped right by Mythics. Invincibles are going to think, or pardon me, Dizzy's Rascals are going to think that Niall is only over towards A, but he's not even going to bother with it. Just going to explore the outside of the map and allow Dizzy's Rascals to take the round, no problem. Good opening first blood, though, for Mythics. That helps things out much more easily when you're finding long-range gunfights like that.
Oh, it definitely does. And I mean, it also kind of, threw a curveball in there right away where it's like, hey, are they actually coming to this site or are they going over to A? And well, the entire play was kind of slowly working to A to get that bomb down. And once you lose Rafi, you kind of feel pressured to have one more player come and reinforce that B site. But by that time, they had already planted the bomb. So good work. But now Nolson wants to bring up the scope here for us. We'll see if he can find any value. He would be looking to the far side on the right to find that first kill. But it's Rafi for first blood. Mythics with the trade onto Grad. And right away into a 3 versus 3.
I love this call out of Dizzy's Rascals. You lose your Soul Defender over towards B, so you try to take a couple of extra steps forward around mid and through A just to see if, are they actually committing to this? And with trades coming out, there is no convincing answer as far as the bomb being pushed over towards B. So an extra lifeline here for Dizzy's Rascals defensively as they're going to kill off some extra time. And with a scope in hand for Nolson, he's going to have to do something incredible, you would feel like. But Rafi gets blessed with one. And he may have an idea that Dizzy's actually still playing inside mid palace here. So your ability to isolate has already been kind of gifted to you because Dizzy's is stuck in mid. And while he bursts open the door, no problem there as it's an easy read and an easy follow-up. We go tied 1-1.
Yeah, tied 1-1. The initial engagements come down, and then Rafi closes out the round here. Nice couple kills for him. Had a great read on both players, knowing that Mythics was pushing through. Might have had a scope in hand there, not sure. You could see him kind of looking through the right side, trying to search for Rafi, who was already up top of the train with that angle. So good 2 kills there for him. He's on 4 in a row now. And start working for a glide bomb. And, I mean, glides do wonders on a map like this that is extremely open. Let's see if he can work towards it early.
Well, Rafi quickly onto the bomb. We'll have a little bit of help out of Olsen deep towards the backside tower. And, oh, it's a huge first blood. Mythic's dropping. Actually opens the door. If Rafi wants to get aggressive, he may be able to. But it's actually number 6 and Grad who's going to get through A. And somehow BB Connor never saw him make the move past the A bomb site. So now all of a sudden you have to play response. And if you're being really candid as far as the opportunity is concerned, you need Henry to come help you. You need to isolate this pick onto Grad. You need to be able to turn this into a 2v3.
Going to try to make a move for the bomb. Appears to be the play. They will be able to grab it. But yeah, Grad's still in this forward position, and you have a player watching over him. BB Connor should know that he is pushed up, but if BB Connor could win this gunfight, it could change everything, but it's not going to happen. And that should solidify the round unless Henry can do something incredible. But with a sub on Desert Siege with 25 seconds left, likely not going to happen.
Nope. Yeah. It's one of those situations that it just feels like you're kind of trapped. And
Yep.
you have to give kind of, I think, a lot of credit over to the Invincibles for forcing that situation early. I mean, the opening first blood pick is great, but I think it's largely off the fact that you get someone through A so quickly. So, we'll see. Next round up, it's going to be on to Dizzy's Rascals. Let's see what they want to do defensively to try to keep this tight. Rafi's also on 4, so the ability for potential streaks could be a conversation point if Rafi can get 1 or 2 here in the round. And it's going to be a 4-man focus over towards A in some regard. Bomb sneaking up towards the broken doorway. And it actually was full-on cross. Nades, you assume, would be the next thing up here defensively for Dizzy's Rascals. But the bomb is still going to get down, no problem. And Grad has made safe the potential exit as Henry gets pushed off the angle.
Oh, Henry, he had a couple of good looks. The nade connects. The shots just go wide. But that one's going to be a hit marker. Grad gets taken down low, and it's Nile that finishes off Henry. Meanwhile, Rafi's in the back, and look at the teamwork coming in. My goodness, everything comes crashing down in about the last 10 seconds there, and the Invincibles, they hold on, they get that bomb down, and everyone is able to play their life.
Yeah, it's really is an unbelievable display. Not just the fact that you get the bomb down, but how convincing the help was across the back to make sure that even if you don't get the exit off the planter, you've got a super solid setup on the post plant just because of the fact you've got ARs deep. So good help coming out allows Invincibles to now turn this into a 2-round differential, 3-1 the count. Nolson looking for the early snipe off the jump wall. None will be given to him, though, as how about Dizzy's Rascals? Quick hit over towards the middle of the map. Grad's in a position to actually contest this, especially now that Nile has secured first blood on the deep side of trains.
Yeah, Grad keeps playing this position, right, where he's just laying down behind this wall and he waits for someone to potentially run by. Henry might just do it, and I don't think you're ever going to check this little prone spot here as they're just kind of so close to one another. Nice little 3P angle from our observers, but Henry with the snap is there for Grad. The bomb will go down, but Dizzy Rascals in a 2 versus 3.
Yeah, another difficult position where you're just completely trapped inside of this mid-university building. And Henry's not even going to be able to take any steps forward in any regard. Bomb planted. He's going to isolate 1. Oh, pardon me. The fuse comes out. And, well, that's just one of those situations that, once again, the map control for the Team Invincibles is just so convincing so quickly. It's not even the fact that they're denying the ability for trades to happen. It's that they're finding kills across multiple points of the map. It is just, there's no way you can make the decision of what do I need to go help with, because you're just getting pushed on all sides, it feels like, at once.
And the players they're losing are also like the AAR players, the scope players, the ability to kind of watch through those long distance gunfights, through A long. They're just not there for them because they're losing out on those members, and you're forced to kind of make something happen with a sub. Very difficult here so far. Invincible showing us why we praise them in Search and Destroy. Watch out for Rafi, trying to see if he can win this battle. Mythics is able to take him out, and Nile gets away with 1. So 3 versus 3. Mythics gets out with his life, but Nile might have an opportunity to drop this bomb.
Might not even need to.
Oh, okay.
Henry gets a chance at a second, but needs to value his life here. You cannot fall. You've got Mythics in a great position to stop the plan at B. So we get to a 2v2. Everything goes quiet for a time. And for the side of Team Invincibles, the amount of doubt you can create because you know Mythics is deep and Henry's got a scope is significant. And Nile is just going to play on top of the bomb with an MP40 in hand. He's got Grad above him, just watching his backsided cross, and this little setup should work out great for him. Yeah, Mythics doesn't quite fully check it, and it all comes down to Henry for a 1v2.
He's on 3 in a row. This would be an amazing 1v2 to try to keep your team in this game. But it's not going to be easy. Pistol and sniper in hand. Player close to his right. He has no idea where the second one is, and, well, they're going to know where he is. There it is. Grad is able to find that kill. Invincibles now running away with it. 5-1. here in this second map, and there has just been no answers, no numbers even, really, for Dizzy's Rascals.
Oh, no, not at all. The First Blood engagement has been very convincing. The First Blood overall, I think, tallies for kills and deaths will be a little bit more even, but as far as the engagements are concerned, even if Invincibles are losing the First Blood, they're winning the first trades, where they're coming out 1 for 2, it feels like, more often than not, and the ability for them to utilize numbers and the advantages that come off of the numerical kind of situations they find themselves in early have been really, really good. This time, though, BB Connor, First Blood on Denial. That's going to be a free one, but once again, look how quick the trades come through. So even though, again, Dizzy's Rascals will get the benefit of the number statistically of a First Blood, we're quickly into a 3v3, and Rafi's in such a forward position that you have to try to flush him out here.
You really do. Because he can come behind at any point, stop this entire play. And BB Connor trying to look for that long-range gun battle. Not going to happen there off the rip. That bomb, though, is working towards A. Still a 3 versus 3. Have time to work with. But Dizzy might be the one to try to make this play happen. Nate through the back could be huge, but it's Mythics that opens it up. Finally, numbers for Dizzy's Rascals as Dizzy gets through. And it's all up to Rafi, but he can't find anything. That's the round they needed.
Yeah, it's really, really well done for Dizzy's Rascals first and foremost on the play through middle, because Rafi's just waiting to see if a teammate's going to start shooting back and get a trade, and then he can move further forward and be completely concealed to where if a bomb gets planted, there's no way that Dizzy's Rascals reads that Rafi's still in the back of your flank to foil any sort of a post plant. So really good convincing kills out of BB Connor and Mythics from the front side of the middle of the university to make sure that Rafi was completely trapped and really didn't have any ability to be part of the play. So great stuff coming through. Obviously a needed round. And First Blood this time. It's a sniper battle. Henry able to get the benefit of it in an early 4v3 this time for Dizzy's Rascals.
Henry's been really strong with a sniper rifle. And Mythics now gets involved, takes out Rafi. That's a big player to remove. And all of a sudden, numbers starting to go the way of Dizzy's Rascals with these opening engagements. They get information on Nile, who's going to have to back all the way up. And Mythics, I mean, no fear. He's just looking to run him down, track him down. Teammates are here with them. And now Nile, with a 1v4 in the cards, Automaton in his hands, would have to win that battle. Not going to happen, but hey, back-to-back rounds now for Dizzy's Rascals.
Yeah, just another good set of containment coming out for Dizzy's Rascals. I like that read from Dizzy in particular. Just throw a stun at your feet after you kind of open the doors to see if you could bait out any information towards mid-palace. Turns into the ability to kind of clear the front side of it, and even though Nile is able to elude the chaser, he's just got no exit at that point. So, yeah, really good isolation coming out of Dizzy's Rascals. And it's Henry, Mythics, and BB Connor that have gotten the majority of kills here in the last 2 rounds. But even though Dizzy's just 1 in 6, he also was a key component to how those kills came through in the last 2. And this time, early set nades over towards A. Nades will connect. Yeah, Grad was softened up by that. Mythics will confirm First Blood. And on the defense, they have to move. You cannot just allow one player who's playing forward to defend this. Counter nades through. They do tag and confirm a kill, but the bomb has already been planted.
Oh. Rafi with a big nade. Takes out one. Nile. Now he's trying to work for Dizzy. And he can't find it. Dizzy plays his life. Last one alive. Gonna be Rafi. He doesn't finish off the kill. He thought he had it, but it doesn't happen. And now, all of a sudden, this comeback's starting to become more real here, Alan.
You start to sweat a little bit here if your team Invincibles.
Yeah.
Largely because, look, it's not just the fact that there's been some cheeky kills that come through, but Dizzy's Rascals have foiled the majority of your setups on both sides of the bomb in the last couple. You know, obviously there's been some good moments that have led to some favorable gunfights for Dizzy's Rascals, but largely speaking, the chess game is starting to turn in favor of Dizzy's Rascals as far as what they want to do setup and execution-wise. So now you go back to Nolson and a more passive angle over towards B. He's got BB Connor in front of him, and the opening gunshots through the middle of the map are good as Grad denies Mythics any forward play in the university.
Oh, they got eyes on BB Connor. That nade's going to be huge. BB Connor, is he going to be able to survive? He hits his nade, and that's going to maybe shrug off the player for a quick moment, but you've lost Mythics. You have a minute on the clock here to try to stop this bomb from being planted, and if you look at the mini-map, it's going to be a call to rotate over to A. So now it's up to player 2, Henry, who needs to try to stop this play from happening, but that bomb might end up going down.
Oh, he's sniping as well. Wait, this is a double scope setup at the moment. When it comes down to how you're able to kind of utilize a defensive setup around A, bomb planted, really there's no chance to contest this, so how does the retake come out? And they're going to try to full flood this from the front, hoping that Henry can stop anyone from firing across the backside of that big rooftop. Turns aside one, misses the shot under Grad. Second attempt turned aside. It's all on to Dizzy. Lantern takes up some of the shots, but still capitalizes on Grad. Time becoming a problem, though, over this 1v2. Put the defuse required. Nolson at range will stop him from getting across into the train yard. And the Invincibles, it took him a minute, but they were still good to push it over the finish line and go up 2-0 in the series with a 6-4 win here.
Man, you think of how different that last round could be if Grad does not get tagged with a hit marker, right? All of a sudden, maybe you're able to retake a little bit easier. You have time to come through the back. You can continue to watch through the front with that scope. And that wasn't the first one. There was a couple hit markers that he ended up getting. So a tough one, but nonetheless, I mean, they went down 5-1 really early. They were struggling with trying to find some of those first bloods. They were losing on numbers. Trades just weren't coming in effectively, and they were kind of forced to try to find multiple rounds in a row. But take a look at the scoreboard. No one really kind of standing out overall. It was just a good overall team effort here through both sides. And again, Niall here with 9-7, doing a good job of just playing his life in a lot of those rounds and clutching up where he can. But it was Rafi that had that good start that allowed them to kind of build up all those early rounds.
Yeah, a couple of different multi-kills here or there that, you know, turned the tides early in favor of the Invincibles. And again, looking at the first blood tally, this is kind of the expectation that they were going to be tight, but I still go back to the first initial engagements. In those handful of, well, really just the first 6 rounds, continued to be numerically favoring the Invincibles more often than not. And after those first engagements, their ability to utilize a numbers advantage was very significant and led to the big differences, I would say, round in and round out. Good fight back, though, out of Dizzy's Rascals. Staying resilient, that's always what we love to see. But the problem about it is now you find yourself in a must-reverse sweep fashion. You just never want to go down after your first week of gameplay 0-2 overall in the standings. So that's what's going to be next. A Berlin control is what we'll consider, but we'll step away for a brief break and come back to map number 3. Don't go too far. More Challengers Elite right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It's been all Team Invincibles so far in our second matchup here on day 1 of the European Season 4 of Challengers Elite, which means for Dizzy's Rascals, after dropping their first series, you're going to need to at least take a couple of the maps here, if not possibly reverse sweep if you want to keep your playoff hopes alive, because this season of EU is going to be down to the wire. It's hard to say that after just one series, but looking at the scores and the maps that are coming across all the other matchups right now, yeah, we're starting to see some favorites pop up. And so after the 250 to 105 and 6-4 wins on the opening hardpoint and search here, Austin, it's a Berlin control that the reverse sweep has to start on.
It's got to start on this map mode combination, and it has to start really strong for me in that first round here, right? We go back to what was happening throughout the very first map of the Hardpoint Berlin, and it was just kind of a takeover slowly but surely that happened through that second rotation of maps. If you can come out here, have a good start, start to build off of that and not have to build your way back up, through 3-4 rounds in a row like we just saw in the S&D, that could be your opportunity to start to, work at this Invincibles lineup, start to make this reverse sweep become possible. And like you said, finding any maps is always huge when we talk about these tiebreakers that just always seem to inevitably come into play before playoffs.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see how things unfold here, because at least looking back at how both of these two teams had fared in Season 3, Control was a major weak point for Dizzy's Rascals. Whereas on the other front for Invincibles, they weren't necessarily great at it, but they got a lot of playtime on Gavudu and had a really good win-loss record there. It just comes down to, have you been able to explore the map pool a little bit more? Because that was kind of a huge hindrance, I would say, largely for them in the last season, was that they were kind of predictable when it came down to overall maps. So maybe Berlin can be one of their new favorite spots, especially after their result that they were able to put together in their opening matchup versus Rocker. Sure, they lost the match, but they were at least competitive throughout each of the respawns. So we'll see if they can get over the hurdle here and find a way to build some favor in the Control game mode, maybe also with the extra benefit of continuing to find success in some regards on Berlin. I think the biggest thing, Austin, just kind of reflecting back upon Season 3 and more importantly the Toronto Open and other events that we've seen kind of over the last couple of weeks. Defense is back when it comes down to overall control favor. Save maybe this map. Your ability to convert on offense is a little bit more flexible. So that has to be, I think, the biggest focus as far as how we get into this matchup.
Yeah, and it's all about, getting inside of fire on the offense, kind of starting to go rogue, make it really difficult to deal with you. And if you can find those little windows of opportunity, that's how you can start to come away with some of those offensive rounds. But right away, right off the bat, going to be right into this B zone. First kill is good for BB Connor. They're already going to be stacking up the point. Not interested in trying to make any kind of a play by A. A retake about to come through here very quickly for Invincible.
And this is all about getting as much time on the clock for A. I mean, there's no way. You hit this on the head here, Austin. There wasn't a single member even contesting over towards A whatsoever, and it looked like the Invincibles were just not expecting that in any form. We don't often see teams jump on an early stack the B zone. Usually you're looking for eliminations and map pressure, but not for Dizzy's Rascals. So now they have so much time to work with. And with these kills coming to the middle of the map, there's an opportunity to do what you asked for. Get in towards fire and try to put some pressure over towards the backside of the A zone.
And it's a tight setup that's coming in right now. This is all about playing for trades here if you're the Invincibles. But how do you break it down? BB Connor, 3 in a row, has had a hot start. Big gunfight potentially versus Nile in the window, and that's going to be won by Dizzy. So you've already opened up the first one. Mythix gets the second. All of a sudden, it's looking really scary. Last one's Raffi, and he finds 2. No, he almost gets 3, but now they get on the zone.
Here's the thing, though. You've got the ability for mid-map repressure starting to establish for the defense. Nades on the way through the windows. Shots also start to spam things up on his Mythix. 5 in a row. A massive double. First tick of progress contested for a small time, but it's going to get locked in. And the chances with now SMGs pushing forward to actually convert for a stack on this A zone is extremely high. It's 22 playing up against 15, but oh no, they're maybe playing a little bit too cutesy for the kills. The second tick of progress is locked, but the opportunity to quickly take the offense has been turned aside.
Oh, you lost quite a few lives there, too. Down by about 5. 20 playing up against 15. Big battle there for BB Connor to weed out Raffi here through that P5 area, but Grad holds on with a nice big 2 kills, and that's going to stop things for a moment. Henry's going to slow down, try to approach a different angle, but from the side, Nolson is in. So you've done at least a little bit of recovery here around the point, and now you got about a minute left for Dizzy's Rascals to try to break in and get that final segment.
First kill is decent, but they just don't have the same significant map control that they had coming off the B zone about a minute ago. So this is going to be a little bit more hard fought. And as you had mentioned, on the kind of aggressive push through for Dizzy's Rascals, what was about a 10 life lead went down to 5, and now it's just down to 3. Ah, boy. We're going to be kind of scratching our heads on why you don't just stack the A zone and maybe get the full progress on A before there's even a chance to contest. But the defense has more than recovered. 33 seconds on the clock, and Dizzy's Rascals are left kind of wanting to get into this third tick of progress.
Oh, and Grad from the side here being super annoying. Those are 2 huge kills for Grad again. He's done that on 3 separate occasions here so far, but Dizzy gets 2 back. Still keeps the play alive. Invincibles cannot afford to die, but there's also 15 seconds left on the clock, and Nile is holding strong.
How does that nade hit? Nile was the only player left alive. He makes this defense a little bit more realistic. Grad pushing forward, clears the zone, and no one's going to touch this in time. Dizzy's going to try to give it a go, but he's not going to get there. And look, I have to say it. For you, if you're Dizzy's Rascals, you get a full team wipe there's no need to push forward after you have 4 members possibly to stack A. Just at least get 2 or 3 on. Put the progress into play, but they step too far forward towards lobby, and that allows Invincibles a chance to re-wipe and retake after 2 ticks were easily given. Oh, man, there is a chance there for Dizzy's Rascals get the offense, no problem.
There definitely was, and I mean, a huge part of them not getting it was that, but also Grad coming in with 13 kills. Almost half of the eliminations come through there from just him alone. So many incredible 2-pieces that were able to save a lot of those offensive pushes, but now we'll switch it up. Invincibles also going to make some early moves over to B while they spread the rest of the map and try to see if they can find some kills. Now with the late push through the train station, we'll be able to get information as well as clean up one. So this is a good moment, and Grad continues to go on this tear. 14 kills for him, seeing if he can now stack up another, and he snaps on Mythics. 4 in a row for Grad.
Yeah, this is definitely looking like his playground right now. Second tick of progress should be good unless Henry has something to say about it. He won't even bother having the conversation as a nade will tag him down to critical HP. Nolson finishes off the kill, and that's likely to be on gone. Mythics, there's just no reason for that. Throws away a life. So it's going to be a 1 life lead for the Invincibles and an extra minute on the clock to get it to 2:18 overall. And look at the play coming out of number 6. Rafi is deep in towards fire. And this is not good news. If you're Dizzy's Rascals, you need to get rid of Rafi as soon as humanly possible.
You certainly do. As long as he's alive, people aren't getting to the point. BB Connor trying to check his corners. He's like, he's still here. You got to trade him, and you can't trade Rafi. Cleans up 2. Henry's forced to go big, and he delivers on 0. Now Mythics, what can he do from behind? Able to find that first one on denial. Segments coming through. Second tick is on the way. 2 players are on the zone.
And this is what happens when you stack. You start to put a lot of pressure on the defense to get here, let alone shoot back. Third tick of progress on the way. Dizzy trying to clear from the back of the side stairs. He's going to be able to get here to contest just in the nick of time. 1v1 with Rafi will be won as Henry was on the backside of a long pinch to help out. And that will be recovery for Dizzy's Rascals. But Invincible still have a minute 43 in the clock, and the lives are pretty significantly low here for Dizzy's Rascals. Just 13 lives to play with.
This is so much time to work with in control, and yeah, they are able to defend the first push, but the problem is you have to be perfect. You can't let them breathe. You cannot let them get behind you.
Wow.
But Dizzy able to find nice shots on denial coming off of spawn, and now you do have a bit of control, but Nolson works back with 2, and now this is going to start to allow them to fan out. BB Connor needs to play his life, and he can't, so everyone breaks out of their spawn, and there's only 9 lives remaining and still a minute left on the clock.
Yeah, I like the idea from Dizzy's Rascals. Get forward, try to kill off the clock, because that's going to be your biggest ally, but
gotta go.
I don't know about all 4 members doing that. Dizzy from the flank will make sure that this A zone stays contested just in the nick of time as the third tick was nearly imminent. But all of a sudden, you get to a 7v11. Rafi, this is a huge 1v1, and Rafi gets the kill and gets away for at least a small time. Eventually gets taken down, and we go to a 5v9 lives, likely the win condition from either side.
Wow, Dizzy, he's starting to turn it on a little bit here, keeping his team in the game. And now down to 40 seconds, 5 lives, as you mentioned, cannot afford to give away any free kills. And that's a good pickup there onto Rafi. But Dizzy from behind again. How does he keep getting away with it? Oh, he finds it just barely. And now no lives remaining, 30 seconds left, 1 good push about to come through.
Oh, BB Connor, so much damage, and now wants to try to lock down the elimination, but has to respect that help is on the way, but it may not make much of a difference. Now a 4v4, 15 seconds to play on the clock. Dizzy watching the cross, Henry watching the outside, and it's still all BB Connor on the interior of train station. 2v3. BB Connor in a little bit of trouble, trying to finesse. The clock could be an ally here, but it's down to Mythics. A 1v2. The clock will stop, and it's got to be Mythics to go. Gets the first, no problem. Where's the second one gone on the window? He gets shots, but gets taken away. And it's Team Invincibles who lock in the offense with the final 1v1.
Oh, that was too close for comfort. I mean, you could say it probably back-to-back rounds, but holy, down to a 1 versus 1 after having what was, I think, a 9 life lead and having, you know, almost 2 minutes to work with going in there. Dizzy saves the play multiple times, being the hero, but it is not enough. The 1v1 is good. Brad with 23 kills, continuing to be a menace on the map right now. In the Invincibles, they can put it away here, but Dizzy's Rascals, they're going to try to make this A hit happen. Little 2-2 split. Nice win here off the bat for Mythics.
This is a dangerous play call from Dizzy's Rascals, not only because you're going to lose some lives over at A, but it actually turns this into an opportunity to where the defense can stop you at B. This is going to put so much stress on the clock. Even if Dizzy's Rascals can find a way to recover B and still add 60 seconds, it's just a simple fact of the matter that you don't really have the ability to full delay the clock or stall it while you're looking to recover on lives. Yeah, the BB Connor solo play to A. This is well done. He does actually stop the clock for a time and collect a little bit of killing, and that's going to be good for his teammates off respawn to freely get to B and likely get at least 2 ticks of progress done.
That's a good job, though, from the Invincibles. They clear out all the members in their spawn, in fire, that could spawn trap them, and now they can just simply focus on all the exits coming off of B. This should be secured without a problem. BB Connor going to try to clean up one through the middle of the map here. Got multiple members to deal with. Nice little bait and switch happens, and maybe now B doesn't actually go over safely. Henry's the last one left alive, but he's heavily tagged up. Needs to play his life. Brad trying to search and find him, and he will. And now that's B. That doesn't go all the way through. And now you have to make another play to try to get over.
And the thing about this is, if number 6 and Rafi continues to find kills on the cross, Dizzy's Rascals are going to think that they have to make a play towards A, which is never good news. Rafi actually hasn't given away his position. He hasn't even shot any shots. Dizzy, though, able to track him down. That'll be good for some clearance out of spawn, but it's a 10 life lead here, Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, this would have to be a convincing hold over this B zone, and you would have to get pretty much a full team wipe on rotation to A if you even want to have a chance at getting this offense through and extending the map.
Yeah, you would have to have someone just kind of go just completely nuts in the back here, and Henry's going to have to be that player. He's going to decide not to take shots on the Nolson. It's going to give him a window to maybe come from behind, clear out some of this, back alley space. But while this happens, his teammates are going to have to worry about getting at a spawn, and they still only have those 8 lives remaining. And oh my, Henry hasn't been able to make something happen, though. He is on the zone.
First tick of progress will get locked in before the nades connect. Dizzy also going prone, though, cannot help out as he was trying to cook up a nade to try to stop this defensive retake. And now it's just a matter of when, not if, it feels like, for the Invincibles to put this in 3-0 form. It's a 16v2. It just, you think back to just the missed opportunities it feels like for Dizzy's Rascals. I think that opening offense was the biggest one of all of it. But even then, that 2-2 split offensively, it's so risky. We've seen teams try it before. I just feel like the risk versus reward conversation always goes more towards risk. Because at best, you're stop the clock AA, you force the defense to have to try to respond to you. But more often than not, the defense is pretty aware that B's going to go no matter what. So I don't know. It doesn't really feel like the right move when you're having to get an offense through.
And this is the perfect time to pull the scoreboard because it allows me to direct the conversation right to Grad, man. Oh my. I think every single time we saw him on camera, he was dropping 2 kills. It was a multi-kill just about every single time, and I think he was also, one of the main reasons, the hero even, on why, that first offensive round didn't end up going over. There was a couple opportunities where they were still able to get back into the zone after losing out on those initial 2 segments and getting team wiped, but Grad coming from behind, coming through secret, taking that P5 route, able to find 2 kills, finesse his life a little bit, buys time for his teammates to get there on so many occasions, and 25 of those 33 were non-traded, so that really does go to show you just how many multi-kills this guy was bringing in. Incredible stuff here for him overall. And a 3-0, what a bounce back right after watching Rocker Academy and not being able to win a single respawn.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing about it. And we only got a chance to watch the Berlin Hardpoint, where, as we had mentioned, kind of framing up this series and also recapping after that map 4 that we witnessed, there were great things happening on the map for Team Invincibles. It just came down to one bad moment, watching the rotation happen for Minnesota Rocker between P3 over at Fire Lobby all the way back to Train Yard. That was where the most significant amount of time had been earned from either team. All of a sudden, you look right back into their ability to replay the map in this series and do that to essentially Dizzy's Rascals, where they were dominating on rotations, putting it together with super solid holds, and you kind of get this snowball effect that starts to occur. And even though I think the Search and Destroy will look close, I still think that map was largely dominated by Team Invincibles, just based on the fact that they were up 5-1 on that map at the beginning of it. And then, as we just saw, the 3-0 here on Control. Yeah, this team is absolutely still a threat. Even though you lose the Minnesota Rocker at the start of this group stage, I still think that just based on what we saw on that one map between them and then these 3, that this Invincibles team is definitely going to be a main contestant for possibly top 4 in the groups.
Yeah, they could still fight for it. I mean, 5th in the last season, a chance to be able to try to get into playoffs, and it starts with those big wins here, finding that massive, win over the squad that you might be even potentially fighting for those final spots in. So we'll see if they're going to be able to do it, Alan. Very special performance after a really rough series versus Rocker to go 1-1 on the day.
Indeed the case, but that completes our first day worth of Europe here on the main broadcast. We still have North America, though, to come. So as we maybe were questioning what was going to be the case in Europe, who may be the favorites? We saw Ultra Academy EU tested by Katana Gaming early, but then past that, pretty convincing. Maybe they're one of the favorites, but we'll be back for North America in a couple hours. We'll see you then. Don't go too far.